We're back. We're back. Taunty, try that one more time for us, please.
Okay. I'm Taunty2K. I'm the top laner for TTM Aegon. My personal goal is not a team goal; it's a personal one. I've always played in Plat leagues. I've never competed in a Emerald League before. So my personal thing is to prove that I can actually hang with players of a better caliber. And I think that I definitely can, especially after Draft League.
Absolutely. Well, we're certainly looking forward to seeing how you do stack up against what is some pretty strong competition here in the Emerald League this season. Obviously, we have a ton of teams, a ton of players really looking to make their mark here in the BOL. But let's move our conversation right over towards those power rankings in terms of how we do expect everyone to be stacking up, as we move into our second week of the season. Guys, so I guess we were just doing some, we were all ranking the teams in the Freljord division just before we went live. Is that right? And we do have that, looks like, up on the stream now for everybody to take a look at. So we'll go for myself first. Elysium on Ice, as I briefly mentioned in the intro there, they did have a pretty solid week number one. They weren't necessarily tested that hard. Their opponents, Elysium, didn't actually make it onto the Rift for that first game. So you definitely could argue that, Elysium, we haven't really seen how they're going to stack up just yet. But I definitely have pretty high expectations for this roster. I do have Mint Gaming in the number 2 spot and Tilt Esports number 3. Both of those teams also picked up the 2-0 last week. And then Clown Gaming I have in 4th. I know the mid laner there, Wookie, pretty well, so I just have a lot of faith in him to make it at least towards that top 4 spot. And then TTM, haven't seen you guys play yet, so really hard to say, where you are going to stack up in the rankings, 20. But I have you in 5th for now. That's certainly subject to change. And then Elysian, a little bit of a rough showing in that first week alongside Hydro Pump as well. A little bit of a tough time, both of those squads taking the 0-2. But Espada, give us a quick rundown of your power rankings there and your thoughts over this your division.
Looks like I copied your homework, but pretty much at the same dots. I scrimmed Elysium before, and I think they're probably the best team in that group. I know a lot of their players, ZZ, Dilly, so I think they have a solid roster over there. They can play towards either top or bot. Not really too sure about their mid and jungle, but Elysium, they always put up a decent roster. Tilt, I didn't know who they were, but apparently they were, the returning champs. So I expect them to be rated fairly highly. Same thing with Mint and Clown. And the last 3, not too aware of their players or like the orgs. I thought it was funny that there was a fake Elysium, like ELY, facing against Elysium. So. Yeah, and I mean they kind of got stomped, at least the bottom teams. I haven't seen TTM play yet, so I could change my opinion on them once I actually see them in action. But for now, that's kind of what I see, at least for that failure group.
Yeah, as Dilly is a player that I definitely do recognize. I don't quite recall if he was in the also in the Plat League last season, or maybe it was a different league entirely that I saw Dilly play in, but that's definitely a player that I have my eyes on as well. And one other thing I actually wanted to touch on with you, Espada, really quickly before we move over to Finalities rankings, is you are the one responsible for the Blue Otter rundowns, yes? You've been putting those out?
That's my own rundowns. They're I don't think it's official. No, that's
right. The unofficial content.
Yeah, I run the unofficial one.
Right.
I got too much time on my hands.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of exactly where I was going with that, honestly, is I feel like, it's hard to say for sure, but I'd be somewhat confident in saying that out of everyone in this call, you've probably put the most time in terms of actually researching all of these teams and sort of compiling that information. So definitely happy to have you here for this first episode of Otter Talk. But for now, let's move over to Finality. Give us a quick rundown of your rankings, please, sir.
Yeah, so honestly, I've been looking at these teams for the past 10 minutes. It's the first time I ever looked at any of them. So this is kind of scuffed. But I mean, yeah, Tilt being the reigning champs, I just learned that. So I'm kind of goated in picking them number 1. Honestly, Elysium, or Elysium on ice looks strong too. A little bit worried about the mid. Like, you know, that's, and then like Clown, I mean, getting 2-0'd and getting absolutely destroyed made me lose like every faith in him. And then TTM as well. I mean, we haven't really seen them play, so I mean, I'm just gonna go OP.GG's, but I really want to put them too high, just because we haven't seen them play at all. And then realistically, Hydro Pump Zero. I mean, like, I don't know anybody in this group, to be honest, but I mean, they just kind of look weak.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting that you have Elysium, the Thunder Raptors, ranked so highly there, up in second, compared to the rest of us all have them in sixth. So just a quick, once again, remind us why you have so much faith in that roster.
I mean, I scanned the OP.GG's. They actually don't look too bad. Also, I think the name is super thick.
Okay, name buff could come through there for Elysium. And Thunder Raptors, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. Although I was actually just thinking, when I was doing my little bit of research before the stream tonight, that Elysium on ice, it feels like they got drawn into the appropriate division, right? Elysium on ice in the Freljord division, feels like there's something there maybe. But anyways, let's move over to Taunty. If you could give us your rankings, please.
All I've heard is that Tilted and Elysium were good teams. That's all I know. I know the 80 carry or the support on Clown. He's been pretty good. I've played with him. Mint, I think, is better than the rest. It's hard to kind of rank anyone outside of Elysium and Tilted, simply because two of them got 2-0'd and yeah, the other one's just 2-0'd, and it's just weird. We didn't play, but I feel like, especially after scrimming other teams out of the in other groups, that we stack up pretty well to the competition.
Okay, yeah, happy to hear that, and definitely excited, to see you guys in action tonight. You're not going to be on the stream, obviously, but certainly excited to see those results as they do come in, and as you guys get a better feel for how you're going to stack up both here in the division and in the league overall. With that being said, let's move on over into those matchups, guys. So how I think we're going to do this is each one of you guys will go back to a spot to start out. Choose one matchup in your division. So, Espada, you're obviously there on Monkeys Reformed, so that is going to be the Ionia division. So if you could just choose one match that is going to be played this week from the Ionia division, it can be either your own match or a different one, whatever match you feel like is going to be especially interesting for us to keep an eye on here. And just give us a prediction for that match, and maybe like a player to watch, or a pick to watch, or why basically you think that match is especially noteworthy.
Sure. I was gonna say Monkey Civil War between Reformed and Fever, but our game got pushed back. So for tonight, I would say I'm excited for the OEE team versus the Conduit Gremlins roster. I think the Conduit team has a lot to prove. I kind of came into the season kind of disrespecting their roster, and then they took the game off of us, and they played a lot better than I expected. And they might actually, with how stacked Ionia group is, they might actually clinch out a 4th seed coming to playoffs. So I'm excited for that. And OEE is a top team, so it'll be exciting to see how Conduit handles them. But I do have Conduit losing to OEE 2-0. Unfortunately, I think OEE has really gifted players all across the board. They have members coming from the 2 finalist teams in both Titan, Conch, and Aegis, and they kind of just brought them together, and that roster is kind of stacked. But the matchup I'm excited for is Lordy Sama from Conduit in the top lane versus Elof over in OEE, because I think Lordy Sama is their best player. So it'll be interesting to see if Conduit can play through him and enable him to be the carry that he kind of was against us last week.
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely gonna be very interesting to watch. I was actually the caster for the Plat League last season, so I watched the Conduit Gremlins sort of stomp their way through that entire league and get the victory in the finals. So I'm definitely very much looking forward to seeing if the Conduit Gremlins are gonna be able to do some damage here in the Emerald League, maybe even clinch that playoff spot like you were just talking about. But they definitely have their work cut out for them tonight against OE. That is surely going to be a very, very difficult matchup for them. But you also mentioned, Espada, that your matchup tonight, the Monkey Civil War, is been delayed. Is that right?
Yeah, it's got pushed back to Sunday, but we had some IRL issues, but we should get that off right before the weekends, or I guess week starts.
Okay, good to know. Very, very interesting information there. Thank you, Espada. But let's move over to Finality. Finality, you, of course, playing for the Kittens with Mittens. That is, I believe, the Demacian division, yes? Any matchup in particular this week that you're going to be keeping a close eye on?
Yeah, so, I mean, other than us, I'm curious to see Shattered Spire versus Full 5, because those are the two teams I view as, like, the number 2, other than us being number 1 in this group. So curious to see how that happens. I think Fulls 5 will take it. And then they'll probably, like, I think like it'll be like a 2-1. I think it'll be close, but yeah, like whoever wins this thing I think is like in close contention with us on who takes the group.
Okay. Yeah, both of those teams, Shattered Spire and Fools 5, were able to pick up the 2-0 last week. So they were the only teams here in the Demacian division that did get that 2-0. So whoever wins tonight is going to clinch that first place spot in the standings at the end of week number 2. So I think definitely that makes a lot of sense. That is going to be an important match to watch. Taunty over there for Aegean, you are in the division that we are going to be spectating tonight, a little bit later on, the Freljordian division. Is that going to be the match that you're keeping an eye on? Obviously your match is going to be very important as well as your team makes their way onto the Rift for the first time. But what are your thoughts heading into this point?
That personally, I think it's going to be, for me, I think it's more exciting that our group, our game will be a little more exciting than the other one, because it feels like you're putting one of the top dogs against one of the middle to lower pack, whereas these are two potentially middle pack to upper middle pack teams, and it'll be a much closer series in theory between the two of them. I think we have a lot to prove, and I think that we'll surprise a lot of people with how good we are, even though that article did some shame to us.
Do you have a prediction for the score? Do you? I assume you're going to predict yourself to win. Do you think Mitt's going to be able to take the game? Okay.
I want to say 2-0, but I usually say 2-1 because I'm liable to run it down.
You want to give yourself that little bit of breathing room, right?
Of course. I need to play Jace.
That makes a lot of sense. Excellent. We'll be keeping an eye out for those match summaries, no doubt. But thank you guys very much for the predictions there. Definitely, there's a lot of interesting matches to cover. Let's transition the conversation a little bit more towards overall favorites. Espada for the other two guys in the call here who maybe haven't. Well, first of all, I guess, have you guys seen Espada's unofficial content? Did you take a look?
Yeah, no, this man slanders our team all the time.
Control Alt Elite is completely slandered my team, and I feel so disrespected.
Yeah.
I got slaughtered in that article. I did something personal to that guy.
I was just making fun of their logo. That's it. I wasn't even like making fun of their team. The Kings of Mittens looks AI generated. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, it absolutely is. I'm gonna be honest with you. We bought a new logo, so don't worry.
I sent in a logo.
No, yours was not good. Yours was not good.
It looks cute as hell.
Sometimes it's all you need.
The Kittens with Mittens logo is one we're discussing, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I was a fan personally. I thought, the little boxing gloves, even if it is AI generated, it's got character. I appreciated it.
Yeah, some effort in.
Yeah, as far as the top ranked teams, according to Mr. Espada here, we have OEE, and we got Monkeys Fever, Syndicate Crash Outs that we saw pick up the 2-0 last week, Monkeys Reformed, and then one of the teams that we'll be seeing on the Rift a little bit later tonight, Elysium on Ice. is going to round out the top 5 there, according to the power rankings. So let me come over to you to finality. If you were going to create some unofficial content, how do you think the top of your team rankings would differ from Espada's rankings here? And what are kind of just your general thoughts on which teams you really expect to be the top dogs here in Emerald League Season 12?
Well, so obviously I'd pick our team number 1.
Okay. Yeah.
Our first set, we had 2 subs, which, the subs did great and everything like that, but we also really haven't played with each other, but don't worry, we've cooked. It's fine. But for number 2, I think Tilt is definitely, like, the biggest threat for us.
Okay.
I think they look good. And shout out to Espada. I think Monkey's Reform do look good. So I think those are, like, my top 3, I'd say. I don't really know much about anybody else. I know I looked at Syndicate's Crouch Outs a little bit. I think they would probably make top 5, I'd say.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like the only other player I might know is Not So Dark on Conduit, but I don't think Conduit's particularly strong. So.
Yeah, well, we'll see. We'll see. Like we mentioned before, definitely, I think we're all very curious to see how Conduit is going to be able to stack up as the season progresses. If they continue to improve over the course of the season, they definitely could turn some heads, cause some upsets, but we'll just have to wait and see. But moving over to you, Taunty, who do you think is really, the most formidable competition for you here this season?
I definitely think that Tilted is probably underrated. I think that they should definitely be top 5. I think it should be in and around top 5, possibly top 3 conversation. Syndicate Crash Outs. I remember watching game 1, that was pretty convincing, but in game 2, it was a little rocky for them in the early to mid game. They were down 1 to 2k gold going into Herald. I'm not sure on objectives off the top of my head, but I remember them feeling like they were in a negative tempo and they weren't as dominant as many people were kind of making them out to be. I felt like if you want to be in this top 5 conversation, you need to be putting away teams with more ruthlessness, if I may say so. Especially when Aftershock is supposedly, one of the bottom 3 teams in that group. You really want to be putting those teams away pretty convincingly. You don't want to have struggles with those kinds of teams.
Yeah, it was definitely a really interesting match to watch, that match between Syndicate and TFF. It felt like the fights, like you were saying, they got really messy. It ended up being not really clean games, either one of those 2 games. Obviously Syndicate able to take the 2-0 in the end, and I did feel like they had decidedly better map play, better macro to be able to control those objectives and ultimately come out on top. But you're absolutely right, I think, that it could have looked a lot cleaner, and the fact that the games did get as messy as they did, I think it's absolutely fair to kind of question Syndicate as maybe not being the powerhouse that maybe some people were expecting coming into this season. So definitely have to keep an eye on that as well. But let's. No, go ahead.
I think that's a crazy take, saying TFF is bottom 3 in that group. I think they're one of the stronger teams.
No. I was just going based off the article.
So it's Espada. Yeah, Espada's fault.
I'm just going strictly off of what the article is saying. Bottom 3 in their own group.
Bottom 3.
In their Noxus group, you've put them in 5th.
Okay. Well, the reasoning is I didn't rank Rebirth because they didn't play. It'd be unfair for me to move them above Rebirth and not having to play. Yeah.
Okay, I'm sorry,
it's reflective. It's a reflective off my original thing. Like,
I got
it's a week by week. It's a week by week ranking, but saying that they're bottom 3 was kind of crazy.
Well, I can only do what's in front of me. Sorry.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, I mean, you had them drop down. Espada, you dropped Aftershock down quite significantly in the overall rankings as well. From looks like 11.
It was a disappointing loss. I thought it would be a 2-1, personally, but getting too old like that is it's kind of crazy.
Yeah. So this is going to be a big week for Aftershock for sure to see if they're going to be able to bounce back. Let's take a... Who are they playing against here? Let me find that for us.
I think they're a bye week.
Oh, you're right. They do have a bye. Wow. Well, that's a little bit awkward. Let me see who their week 3 opponent is. Looks like they're going to be playing against Final Boss Alpha next week in week 3. Does anybody have a prediction on how that one is going to go, or any thoughts on that matchup just in general?
I think that if TFF could bring similar early games to what they did in Game 2 against Syndicate Crash Outs, that they could definitely create good leads for themselves and put themselves in good winning positions.
Absolutely. Final Boss Alpha, they did get the win also in week number 1 over Maelstrom Esports. That was a 2-1. So, we'll have to see if Aftershock are going to be able to utilize their bye week here to get a little bit more cohesive around the map play and, utilize their ability to scrap and fight in kind of these chaotic game states to kind of solidify themselves as maybe one of the stronger teams in the group after a very tough week 1 opponent, right, against Syndicate. That is definitely something to keep an eye on as we move forward. But I want to take a moment here to go over your guys' hot take. So that is something that we did get from you guys as part of your sort of application to be on Otter Talk here. I'm going to come over to you, Espada, to start us off once again. Your hottest take that you submitted to us: Conduit Gremlins will make it out of top 4 in the Ionia group. So maybe just give us a little bit more information there. I know we were talking about Conduit a little bit already here on the show, but maybe just talk to us in a little bit more detail why you have so much confidence in them and how you really think they're going to be able to make that happen.
Yeah, sure. Given how the games went last week, between like Shadow Cows and Fever and OEE versus Omega Whooper, and those are like the teams fighting for that 4th spot as well. I think Conduit put up a really good fight versus us compared to those teams. They kind of like got ran over.
Yeah.
And I also know Shadow Cows from their Aegis run, as well as Dorado Epsilon from their Aegis run, and I wasn't too like impressed by what I saw from those teams, which is why I'm putting Conduit over them. I think this is a newer team, a plat graduate into the Emerald Leagues, so I expect that in the upcoming weeks they should be ramping up. I do think I favor them at least over both Shadow Cows and Whooper at the moment. It would be seeing if they can beat Epsilon for that 4th seed, in my opinion. There might be a bit of cope too, since they did take a game off of us, and that might just be loser mentality. But I thought they were generally a good team, like overall, from how they performed.
Yeah, fair enough, man. I think they're a good team too. Like I mentioned earlier on, they were quite dominant in the Plat League, so that's definitely going to be a fun storyline to track, over the course of the season. As we mentioned earlier, their opponent tonight is going to be Optimal Esports Enigma, one of the strongest teams over there in the Ionia division, at least. That's what we're expecting them. Their week 3 opponent for Conduit is actually a bye they have in week 3. So that's what their next couple of weeks are going to look like. Let's move on over to you, Finality. Your hot take that you submitted for us is that we, as in your team, Kittens with Mittens, will go undefeated for the rest of the regular season, the rest of the round robin here, and it won't even be close. So talk to us about why you have so much confidence in yourself and the rest of the squad, and maybe who do you think is going to be the most difficult opponent that is going to stand in the way of you making that happen?
Well, so the reason why we're so confident is, one, we actually have our full main roster with practice, and it just feels great. And also, and for probably biggest threat is like the other team that's probably the hardest for us is Shattered Spire, but they also believe that the Spire Cats would beat us. So I'm inclined to believe that they're not the smartest of the people, people in the world, because this is going to be the quickest 2 of my life. I got to go get JJK, garlic sauce from McDonald's today, and my McDonald's closes at midnight, so I gotta hurry up. So it's gonna be the quickest 2-0 of the league.
A man's on a mission. Your matchup plan, of course, as you just mentioned, gonna be the Spire Cats, and then Shattered Spire, who you also mentioned, is going up against Fools 5 tonight. who did look very good in week number 1. So some big matchups for both of you guys, and that'll be some fun matches to watch for sure. And I wanted to say, I'm very happy to hear that you are so confident. It's very important that I think players have that mindset, especially so early on in the season, right? You have to sort of believe that you are going to be able to make a push towards the very top of the league. And it sounds like all of you guys here do kind of have that drive. So
I mean, I entered my ranked game, so I had to be confident somewhere.
Perfect. It's about balance, right? You can't just smurf all the time. So you get all the inting out in solo queue, and then you bring the A game for the tournament play. It sounds good to me. But let's move on over to you, Taunty. Last but not least, your hot take for us is your team, TTM Aegeon. Am I pronouncing that right, by the way?
Aegeon, however you want to say it.
Okay. TTM Aegeon will finish second in the group behind Tilted. So, we were just talking about having confidence in yourself and your team, but you don't quite have so much confidence that you feel like you're going to be able to get first place in the group over the defending champs, Tilt Esports. So just talk to us about, your kind of expectations for how everything in this group is going to play out, why you think Tilt Esports does have that first place spot on lock, and just who maybe one other team that you feel like is going to be difficult for you to take down in order to claim that second place spot.
I think the other team to challenge is really going to be Elysium on ice. Tilt Esports, obviously they're champions of this division. I've heard a lot of hype around their name, and that's kind of why I put them there. I think it's delusional to think that we're going to win the group when I know nothing about any of these other teams. Like, the only thing I know is that Tilt, they won, and they're pretty good, and Elysium on ice, they played pretty good last week too. The reason why I think that we can finish second, that article put us in D tier, and one of the A tier teams in that article, we absolutely stomped in a scrim. So, if they're A tier, we should be also A tier at least. So we should be able to beat just like everybody, more or less.
Do you want to leak the team that you beat?
AK Hearts.
Oh, all right.
Rio.
Very nice. Well, definitely
also, learning to draft with the new drafting method is a lot of growing pains. Fearless?
Right. Yeah. Definitely. So that's something that you're not too familiar with? You haven't done much with that before?
I've played competitive league for 8 years. This is the first split I've ever played in Fearless.
Wow. Okay. So, yeah. I mean, I think it's something that's relatively new for a lot of players, right? That's definitely interesting to hear that.
I think it's new for just about everybody.
Yeah, definitely. But interesting to hear that you do kind of have that confidence, and but at the same time, some respect for the defending champs. That's I think appropriate. Your opponent tonight again is going to be Mint Gaming Mafia, who did pick up the 2-0 last week. Tilt Esports has a bye this week, and then of course Elysium on ice going to be on the stream in just a short while against Clown Gaming. But guys, I want to thank each and every one of you for joining us for this first episode of Otter Talk. It was absolutely amazing to hear from all of you. I want to give each of you a quick moment for any shout outs, any words for the stream, or just general sentiments about the league, and your just words of determination for, your own performance and your team's performance. So one more time, we'll go to you, Espada, first. Any shout outs you have?
Sure. Yeah, I want to shout out Chris V1 for being on Maokai duty tonight. I hope he enjoys it. He's going to be great.
Excellent. Finality?
Oh, sorry, my mic was muted. Just shout out to you guys. Honestly, Blue Water League is pretty cool. Never been a part of it before. I was on Risen last year, and I guess earlier this year as well. And, you guys just do some pretty cool stuff with some production, like this little talk show and everything like that. So just shout outs to Blue Water League, and this is cool. I like this.
Our pleasure, Finality. So, it wouldn't be the same without all you guys giving us such banger games to watch and commentate. So really all the credit goes to you. But Taunty, last but not least, once again, your shout outs, please.
Oh, I'm shouting out Control Alt Elite. All right, buddy. There's something personal here, clearly, because what was this? Like, I got personally attacked in this article. I don't know what I did, who I hurt. Did I piss in your Cheerios this morning? Like, what happened here? Like, my team got personally attacked. I don't understand what this was. And the whole Emerald League got added. We're like the first one on the article. I'm like, holy cow.
Yeah, that's wild. You guys didn't even play last week, and he's coming for you already.
If you haven't, if the team had a bye and they haven't played yet, I think that you shouldn't have a take on them. Like us in Espada's thing, we should be like no, or like there should be like bye, you know? Like
that's what I wrote. I put 4th, 5th. Like I think it's
no, but I'm saying like make it evident for everybody to know.
I wrote that in the. You read it. It said teams with a bye did not move.
Yeah, but I'm saying like make it evident in the rankings itself.
Okay, my bad.
Well,
there's a disclaimer for a reason.
But still, like that article, hurt. It hurt.
Well, Tonti, I think in the end, you're going to have to show us, right? You're going to have to show us tonight that you deserve to be ranked higher than where everybody puts you. And that is that's really what it all comes down to, is what happens on the Rift. That is what matters. But thank you again, guys, for joining us here. Absolute pleasure to have all of you on for this first episode of Otter Talk of the season. Everybody, we're going to go to a short break, and then we are going to move on to Summoner's Rift for our second streamed match of the season. You don't want to miss it. Alrighty, everybody. Welcome back to week 2 of BOL Emerald. We have our gifted friend Gitano here joining us in the production room for the call. Gitano, were you able to catch any of the Otter Talk? I know you were having like some computer technical difficulties kind of situation.
Yeah, my water was boiling a little too much. Pasta water was everywhere. We're still back on that food grind, so I unfortunately was not able to head into it. But give me the rundown, the recap of it.
Yeah. I mean, there was definitely a lot of interesting notes. You know, we had a Spada on who's doing those unofficial content pieces, the rundowns of all the different teams, you know, and then we had a couple of our other guests were some members of some teams that Espada did not have ranked necessarily super highly. So there was a little bit of spice there. You know, we talked at some length about, you know, what the respective teams' ambitions are and like their goals are for the season. We touched a little bit on this matchup that we have at hand here as well, Gitano, this matchup between Elysium on Ice and Clown Gaming Blood Moon. You know, Clown Gaming obviously has had some roster struggles. Their original top laner ended up ranking out of Emerald, so they've been kind of scrambling to find a replacement here. And as a result, you know, everybody, including those guys that we had on Otter Talk, is kind of expecting this one to go Elysium's way. But we'll just have to wait and see. Maybe the Clowns are going to be able to surprise us.
Yeah, always with the roster change, it's very difficult to make sure everyone's got the same synergy, synchronizing up. But a good top laner, you can definitely play the island for quite a bit of time and wreak quite a bit of havoc throughout your lane and really cause a giant impact. So we'll see if that is the case here for them.
Yeah, and CZI, you know, is somebody who was actually part of the draw show back, you know, before we really got started too much with the season. And he's another player who, you know, really had a lot of confidence and has been ranked pretty highly by, you know, a lot of other people as well here on Elysium. So that's definitely, I think, going to be a critical matchup for this game. You know, the Clowns are really going to need to try to find a way to put a lid, I think, on CZI if they really want to stand a chance in this match. But already through the first ban phase, Gitano, remember, everybody, it is Fearless Draft, so anything that does get locked in here is not going to be playable for the rest of the series. Bans for the first game: Brand, Maokai, Lilia, Poppy, Skarner, and Camille. We've got Ziggs on the B1 for Elysium, and Smolder the response.
Yeah, Zigzag could also be the flex. The AP carry can be going the bot lane. A very giant nuisance with the range and the kit that he has as well. I do like the Smolder pickup. Ensuring the late game, grabbing the stacks, gain a few kills early, you know, just really overall farming well, not too much pressure. And then the Amumu, I'm guessing that it'll be going the jungler. It's been a favorite pick for many across every rank for a reason. So we'll see what they have to answer for it here.
Yeah, the Amumu definitely has been feeling quite powerful recently in the jungle. Nautilus going to be locked in for Elysium alongside the Jarvan, a pick that I believe we did see a little bit last week, if I recall correctly, Gitano.
Yeah, J4, maybe not the flavor of the week for everyone that's playing, but I remember talking about him, and I like it when there's the mobile carries that can't really dash or dip out. I believe the Smolder can go over that, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. I definitely could be. We'll probably see this game if he does do the
Cataclysm.
Yes.
Yeah, he can flap out of the Cataclysm for sure.
Okay. So a little bit of a strange pick. I do like the Nautilus. It's always a great point click CC. You know, you can definitely lock someone up for that 3-second period, which in a team fight can feel forever. And I see Rel being picked as well as the counter for the support. I know they changed her roughly in the last couple of patches. I used to be a big fan of her original kit, but now with the changes, I haven't played her too much. But I'd still love to see her. Great team synergy, great engage. So I'm excited to see her. It's not Bard, but we'll take the Rel.
Yeah, the Bard, unfortunately, not working out super well for Chong last week. Still waiting for a really pop-off Bard game this season. But Rel Nautilus, like you said, going to be the matchup here in game number 1. And honestly, some really explosive engage has already been drafted for both sides here in our first champion select. Taking a look at the second ban phase now, we've got Aurora and Gwen. A couple of those very threatening top lane carry options going to be denied from CZI. And we'll have to see, you know, if the side of the Clowns want to save that R5 counter pick for the top laner to try to get, to try to mitigate that potential advantage for CZI, or if they want to give that R5 counter pick to Wookiee in the mid lane. Wookiee, I feel like one of the standout players for this roster was, I think, probably their ace last week, and they did fall 0-2 to Tilt Esports, the defending champs. It was a very tough week 1 matchup for the Clowns. But Wookiee was able to lane relatively comfortably, despite the team's struggles. So we'll see where those draft bucks are going to go here as, wow, looks like the Ezreal is locked in. So that could lead me to believe that we're looking at a Smolder solo lane, Gitano. What do you think?
That's what I was just going to comment on. I believe also it's going to be a solo Smolder mid lane here for us. You never know. They could switch it up and grab the Ezreal mid. It's a possibility, but yeah. And then NASA's being picked up. The good old Susan pick. +6 stacks. Thank you. Get me out of here. That I'm very interested. Also, I want to see a specific NASA skin. I'm not going to say it out loud, but I'll let you know if I see it.
Okay. We're waiting with bated breath to see about that skin selection. But the Nasus is definitely something that has kind of come out of nowhere. It was even played in the LCS finals, this past weekend. The Nasus came out versus the Garen in the mid lane. It's been pretty insane to see the meteoric rise of this champion that was ignored for so long, right? So many years, the Nasus has languished in the depths of solo queue, not making any kind of appearance into pro play. And there is his brother, going to get locked away on the R5 for Clown Gaming. Wow, okay. So there are our drafts fully fleshed out, Gitano. Most likely going to be that Nasus moving into the mid lane with the Ziggs taking up a spot in the bot lane. Does make Elysium just a little bit light on attack damage. Really indexing almost exclusively into the AD of the Jarvan and I guess the bonk from the Nasus. You can get a little bit of AD there as well. On the other side for Clown Gaming, they do have that double AD carry alongside a whole bunch of frontline. Very interesting drafts here, Gitano. Let's turn our attention towards the Renekton R5 for now. How do you feel about that Renekton R5?
The Renekton early can really kind of take over the game if it does get ahead in the lead, depending if they're going to send the Mordekaiser or the Nasus mid. They could pull something wonky out for game 1. I expect it to be against the Mordekaiser. So kind of depending on first gank, how the lane phase goes, that will kind of tell the tale for Renekton. Once you do fall behind, it is very difficult to get back in. But they label them the Brothers of Destruction for a reason between Nasus and Renekton. So I'm really interested to see how it plays out here.
Yeah, definitely right. Expecting them to not necessarily be laning against one another. The Renekton most likely going up against the Mordekaiser towards the top lane there. Mordekaiser, another champion that we did see played last week, Gitano, if you recall. And the Mordekaiser, as opposed to the Bard, did have a very fantastic showing in the hands of, I'm blanking, a top laner that played Mordekaiser last week. Help me out. Who was it?
I'm gonna have to turn to a production and hopefully they'll be able to shout something in our ear. Because I'm blank. I'm right on the tip of the scale with you, and he performed amazingly. But
Nitro Dax for Syndicate Crash Outs played the Mordekaiser to great success against TFF Aftershock. That is the name we were looking for. So we'll have to see if CZI can have a similarly spectacular performance on the Lord of the Death Realm.
Yeah, especially with the changes now, it's definitely a lot of picker ban that we see here for the top players, as a lot of them have shifted over to that now that you cannot get out of the Shadow Realm no matter what. And definitely at that 3 power spike item, once you receive the main 3, you kind of get that insatiable buff where no one's getting away, you're always healing, you're always shielding, and no one can really 1v1 you effectively here. So we'll see how long they put themselves on that timer. But on the flip side of that, I do want to talk about the Smolder as well. There's a lot of stacking going on this game, so no one's on a true timer on either side. It's just who's gonna hit the timer first.
Yeah, absolutely right. I will say that if we're talking about stacking and timers, first of all, we're getting dangerously close to some more cooking references here. We're talking about, time when things are done, setting a timer for. But that aside, I do think that the Smolder is going to be a little bit more threatening in terms of that ticking time bomb. When he does get towards that 225 stack mark, it can just be so very difficult to play against, especially when you look at this team composition for Elysium on ice. You know, they have all of these melee characters that can potentially be kited out very easily. If the Smolder gets to that, 225 stacks mark and is just spitting fireballs on all these guys, that's going to be nearly impossible, I think, for them to deal with. So I do think that there is some pressure on the side of Elysium to have a really strong early game here and kind of snowball that through the mid game, despite the fact that they do also have that stacking threat in the Nasus.
Especially with a Renekton, an early lead gives you that reprieve for the Mordekaiser. But I also want to take a look at the Elysium, and if they do a 1-3-1 competition here, because you have Nasus on the side as well as Mordekaiser, if either or hypothetically both of them get fed, you start to get a little bit of the grubs in there too. I mean, you just start stacking and going, and it's like, how do you answer a 1-3-1 effectively to this team?
Yeah.
The J4 and Nautilus, great siege potential all in there too, so it'll be interesting to see how they play it out and what lanes they send everyone to once it gets to that mid to late game, if they end up going for the split or if they want to group and try to pounce on that Smolder, because once they have him, there's nowhere he's going.
Yeah, absolutely right. It's going to be very difficult potentially for the Clowns to deal with, especially if the Renekton does fall behind early, like you were just mentioning. Can be really tough to answer those side lanes. But it's time to play one of my favorite games, Gaetano.
No, don't do it. Don't ask me.
Oh, actually, that I haven't even gotten. That's my other favorite game that we haven't gotten to quite
we
yet.
have two favorite games.
Yeah, that's exactly right. The first game is going to be, what is Jarvan the Fourth going to do in the early game? One of the most notorious early game champions in League of Legends, and he really does. That is where he is at his maximum effectiveness, is those first few levels when he has that EQ combo. It is so threatening in the first minutes of any league game. So what is Hero Joe going to be looking to accomplish with his Jarvan here in the early minutes of this one?
I think he might try to grab Mordekaiser lead. Start somewhere towards the top side, get a level 2 quick, maybe try to do something fancy. Otherwise, you're looking to stop on the opposite side, maybe grab a buff, crazy grump, and then level 3 somewhere else. It's just make a play somewhere, either bot side or top side. I don't think mid is the answer right now with the Smolder. It's very difficult to get to him, especially with that melee lane already working against Nasus here. So I would probably avoid the mid lane, but I'm hoping to see some action here on the side.
Yeah, absolutely. With that being said, it is now time for my other favorite game, Gaetano. Which draft do you like better? Your prediction, please, for our first game of the night.
Well, who do I want to lose is what you should have asked, because it's the caster curse of me. I don't want either team to lose. I wish I could see them lose here.
I wonder where you were going with that.
You know what? I'm gonna throw it over to Nasus and crew. I'm a big Susan fan. I love the Mordekaiser. It's a little off meta going the AP Ziggs, going bot lane, but I like it regardless. I'm gonna go with Elysium on ice. It screams, come towards me, and as soon as I get a hold of you, you're not running away.
Yeah, I mean, Elysium, of course, the stronger team on paper as well, picking up the win last week as opposed to the Clowns, who have did struggle in their first matchup of the season. But we'll see. Naysayer popped off last week as well on Corki, I believe. The one game that Naysayer did play last week was like 7-0 and 11 or something crazy like that. But yes, we shall see who does come out in game number 1 on top. Guys, we're going to go to a short break, and then on the other side, we'll be welcoming you on to Summoner's Rift. Alrighty, Otter fans, welcome one and all back to Summoner's Rift as we get underway with week number 2 here in the Emerald League. Once again, for anybody just joining us, we've got Elysium on ice on the blue side for this first game, and Clown Gaming Blood Moon on the red side to start this one off. Gitano, any runes or summoners that you feel like are noteworthy as neither team looks to be doing anything at level 1?
I see a lot of rings. A lot of rings on a lot of fingers here, starting up
Okay. Yeah.
Elysium side, so nothing too crazy here. We know the NASA, the mana regen coming in, depending if you want to spam the E as well. That is heavily on the mana cost. So on the other side, a whole bunch of blades. So we're gonna see what exactly is better. We know the Doran's blade got a small nerf here in the
That's
recent
right. Yeah.
patches, so we'll see if that is something that will affect the early game. What about you? Anything standing out?
Well, it is interesting to see Naysayer going for the Summon Airy on the Nasus. It does indicate that he's expecting this to be a little bit of a difficult lane into the Smolder and really just wants to try to utilize that Airy. He's probably going to be maxing E as well, right? The Doran's Ring, a little bit of a tip-off there as well. It's just, going to be looking to farm from range mostly, maxing E, and then probably W. It's going to be less about the stacking this game and more about the utility that the Nasus can provide with that huge slow from the Wither and the armor shred from the E. But it's a little bit interesting to me as well, right? Because as I mentioned in the draft, the AD options in this composition for the side of Elysium are not very many. It's really just the Jarvan. So the armor shred, we'll have to see if that's really going to get a good amount of value for Naysayer and the rest of the squad.
Yeah, it might be a situation where the rest of the team's going so heavily AP, they're going to start building magic resist and not even have to worry about the J4, and that could be the build where he's going a little bit more, of the damage build instead of the tank, just because they have so much frontline that he could be doing tons of damage and bursting someone out before the fight even starts.
Yeah, absolutely. Could be the move here. As both junglers did start on their respective top side buffs, they're going to be pathing down towards this potentially explosive bot lane with the Nautilus and the Rel, two champions with absolutely fantastic setup. Interestingly, Hero Joe skipping the red buff for now, just going straight from the Raptors down onto the Krugs, as we can see here.
Yeah, and nothing early on the game too. Level 3, we'll see if he opts to choose in bottom, but that looks like it's got a pretty good push as well as mid here as we transfer over. So it looks like lanes are pushing up here, all minus the top side. So maybe a full clear, and then he'll look to see what lane looks like the best option.
Yeah. Pretty quiet early game so far. Both of our stacking champions in the mid lane. Going to be relatively happy about that.
And let's see where Nasus is on stacks versus the Smolder. What exactly are we looking at? 42
I can take a look for us. Yeah.
Stacks Nasus to 17. A little bit slower the stack, also not getting 3 or 6 depending on what you are doing for it, but a little bit of fight here.
Yeah, gonna get knocked up here by the EQ. Mumu gonna go back in with the bandage toss, but does have to flash to get back underneath the turret. Is gonna go back in with the Q2. Wookiee Monster flashing forward for the follow-up. It's gonna be first blood for the Clowns. Hero Joe will be able to trade one back, flashes forward, doesn't get the auto attack. It's a kill for the Smolder as well, and the Clowns are up 2-1 in the early game.
Was neck and neck. I think that could have been an easily trade 2 for 2 on both ends there, but Smolder getting the best of it and maybe a little bit of lady luck on their side here as they live throughout, grabbing a tier now, longsword, and a hook now in the bot lane.
Yeah, in the bot lane, counter engage from Cloudberry as Rel is going to deny Dilly from following up. Nothing too much more will come of that. But yeah, that was really tragic, honestly, for Elysium in the mid lane. I mean, Hero Joe flashed in there to try and get that last auto attack onto the Smolder, but it looks like he may have canceled it and just didn't get that off in time as, Resilient's going to have to flash away down here. Rudy, the same story. So Nautilus has to get away, burning down to the Ignite, but will survive. And now Cloudberry is going to have to flash away from that dredge line. Going to take one more bouncing bomb on the way out. And this is quite awkward for the Clown Gaming bot duo as they have that wave in a very nice position right now for the side of Elysium. Of course, those are pretty low health and mana bars on their side as well. So it looks like they will, in fact, just try to push that one out and go for the reset themselves.
Yeah, a lot of summoner spells being blown here. Ziggs is the only one with the TP and the flash up here. We do have the Hex Tech for
Cloudberry
both
trying to hold the wave.
Nautilus and Rel. But I do want to mention, do you see the 3s that are coming in this game for Nasus and Renekton? They both pot 3 of each here. The cooldown for Nasus and the long swords. I'm not sure how many hands he has, especially after holding a giant curve.
Okay, there's the Smolder ultimate. Mom going to be summoned up in the mid lane, but now the flash forward for Naysayer, and he just gives the little dragon a hit from the cane, smacks him down, and that's going to be Naysayer getting on the board first of the game for Nasus.
I wanted the Infernal Nasus. That was the one that I was looking for, you know. A little Snoop Dogg, Pimp Canes, you know, rolling and bumping the beats.
True.
So I'm still not unhappy from what I see, but I wish I could call a skin, you know, coming out from my favorite champion.
What skin were we looking for? Are we okay revealing that information now?
It was the Infernal skin. The
Infernal is our favorite Nasus skin.
Yes.
Interesting. And then what did we go for instead? It's the
it's like an
the space group. I can't tell.
I'm not sure what he's sporting. I like it, especially when he ulted. He's got the wings. He's got everything. I'd be a little afraid of him.
So anyways, we are seeing the Clowns take this first neutral objective of the game. Well, actually, I misspeaking a little bit there, as the first round of Grubs has already been secured by Hero Joe and the side of Elysium. So there's a trade of those early neutrals, something that we did see quite a bit last week as well. As Hex Flash out of the bush, Rudy going to find Cloudberry here. Squigs, though, was waiting for the gank. Connects the bandage, draws in the level 6 Amumu. Locks him down with the Curse of the Sad Mummy. Dilly goes down, and Rudy will be next to fall. 2 quick kills for the Clowns in the bot lane.
That was a great look by Amumu and a great job of team synergy there. Locking up a target and making sure they focused on one before even started on the other. And, you know, really got their bot lane ahead here now, or back into it. Ziggs having a little bit of a lead for the CS here, but hopefully Ezreal will make that up after the kill here. And Nasus wearing both of the buffs here. That will definitely help sustain and grab many more stacks. J4, on the other hand, playing a little bit of a dangerous game.
Ooh, will he be able to secure the Bramble back in time? Looks like Squigs, yeah, maybe just thinking that it's already gone. So the Amumu going to look for potentially a play onto the Nasus here instead. The Wookiee monster is chunked down to about 50%, so it's a little bit dangerous for the side of the Clowns to go for this right now. And Squigs is just going to wander back, bandage between his legs, just going to wander back towards this bottom side of the map and see if he can find some camps to farm.
I see what you did there with the bandage between the legs instead of the tail. Genius.
Not my best work, but, you know.
Hey, I enjoyed it, and that's all that matters, okay?
I appreciate
me
that.
and you, no one else here. And another invade. Here.
Did you hear something, Gitano?
Nothing. Buzzes and bees here. Fights going on.
Okay, we got a fight breaking out. Yeah, absolutely. Curse of the Sad Mummy is on cooldown right now for Squigs, but Hero Joe is still going to have to flash away as the Jarvan was in danger of going down there. Rudy will have to be sacrificed to the side of the Clowns. I didn't quite see who managed to get the secure on the blue buff. Did you catch that, Gitano?
I did not. Everything was kind of going everywhere, but it looks like Mumu might be sporting it here.
Ah, Squigs, yeah. So they get the blue buff and the kill for the side of the Clowns. They are feeling pretty good about this early game, and remember, they're smoldering as well. So, you know, a good early game is going to be especially feels good for them in this instance, I think.
For sure. 2, 1, and 3 now, the Mummy, as he looks more towards the bottom.
We have Hero Joe in position for the counter gank. The Magna Storm does get that CC down onto 2. Cataclysm, though, onto the Ezreal, as Dilly is going to toss out the Mega Inferno Bomb. Will eventually go down to the Rel underneath the turret. Finally, it is going to be the Amumu taken down on the other side as well, and now it's just Resilient down here versus the Nautilus, so a 2 for 2. But the fact that Ezreal survives, gets to push in the wave, makes that favorable for Clown Gaming. Meanwhile, on the top side, you can see the Death Realm cast by CZI, but Sansarino has been doing a great job of just hanging on up here. You know, hasn't really been going for any crazy 1v1s, is just trying to pick up as much of the CS as possible. And this was supposed to be, you know, a really strong point for the side of Elysium, and CZI has not really been able to get much done up there.
Yeah, it's one of those mentalities. I'm going to play smart rather than aggressive, especially if you do fall behind, like I said, on that Renekton. It's going to cause
Resilient Arcane shift in.
problems.
Dilly in trouble, the flash away. A nice outplay from Resilient. He is going to be shut down by Rudy's Nautilus in the end. But again, I think you have to say that favors Clown Gaming. The fact that that kill credit went over to the Ezreal. And now we do see them moving over to try to defend their topside jungle as well. The second round of grubs has already been started off by CZI. This would be all 6 grubs. If the side of Elysium managed to secure these, it looks like they will be able to. Squigs is in the area, but probably would be a one-way trip for the Amumu. Here comes Sansarino, though. There is grub number 4 locked away. Sansarino going to dash in, going to slice in. That's the bandage toss connecting. Squigs doesn't have the ultimate once again, though, but the Nasus is just going to get chopped to pieces like he was paper. CZI does trade back onto the Amumu. That is going to be 5 grubs secured for the side of Elysium, but at what cost? They're losing out heavily in the team fight. CZI now has to flash away to survive. The 6 grub buff will be denied, and Clown Gaming continue to strut their stuff here in the early minutes.
Yeah, a little bit of a trade there. You did grab 5. You lost 1. It's still looking great for your team, especially with the split push here. Nas is really just impressing me with how he's playing this lane against the Smolder and pushing up. Not, too much care, but a little bit of a change now as Ezreal and Smolder have switched. So we'll see if he fares a little bit better against the Nasus.
Yeah, so Resilient had rotated up to try and assist with the grub fight there. Inferno Bomb is not quite going to be enough to take down the Smolder, and Wookiee had to teleport to get down towards the bot side. Catch that wave as the engage comes through, but the counter engage once again there for the Clowns, but the Smolder gets zeroed out. Hero Joe goes in there with the Cataclysm, takes down the mid laner, but Resilient has rotated over. It's the Nautilus traded back. Jarvan on the wrong side of the rift is likely going to fall here as well. Oh, he does have the blast going, though, to get back over the wall. So Hero Joe is out of there. And that is finally a favorable trade for Elysium. They get the 2-for-1, and they're in position now for the Dragon as well. Squigs is still alive, but has very little to work with. Now Resilient withered, trying to Arcane Shift away, but the Ezreal cannot escape the power of the Kayn. Sadio Double G picking up kill number 2.
+6, and that Sheen is looking better and better every time. That play, even better, +12. I'm hearing the corrections, and thank you for that, so I understand what is going on.
Oh, Sansarino
is going to be massive here. Come towards the mid game, especially with a little more in depth here with the why can I not think? What did they just pick up 5 of? The Void Grubs? Void Grubs.
Oh, yeah,
right?
Void Grubs. Yeah.
Yes,
AKA
those
Kevin's.
are going to be insanely well for him as he is just smacking down towers.
Absolutely. Yeah, you talked a little bit earlier on about the potential, 1-3-1 setup with this composition for Elysium. And, I'm sure they would have loved to get all 6 of those grubs for the double Void Might spawn, but really, you just need 4 to have that be, a very real threat your opponents are going to have to worry about. So that is a win condition that I definitely do think is alive and well for the side of Elysium, especially given the fact that Naysayer is starting to come online with this Nasus.
Yeah. Bot lane Ziggs is doing a great job of just clearing everything, especially with that Hextech Revolver here. You can push all day long, but he's definitely going to have the answer back and forth, and that's maybe what they're looking at here, is just to have Ziggs have wave control enough that, if you do add some pressure, because they do have the range, like you mentioned earlier, about having Smolder, having Ezreal, both can take towers very well, but Ziggs executing and being able to clear the wave too just applies that much more of a difficult pattern for them to register. So we'll see if Rift Herald will be contested as heavily here as Grubs were.
Yeah, absolutely right there, Gitano. We'll see what they're going to be able to get done with that. It's relatively a slow point in the game right now, but everybody's just continuing to stack up. Wookiee Monsters closing on that level 11 mark. Inferno Bomb just to clear the wave here for Dilly, as Squigs in position to potentially look for another dive. This is something that the Clowns have found a lot of success with so far this game, but the minion wave going to get cleared out there very nicely by the Ziggs. And there's just nothing to find this time around as Hero Joe secures Shelly on the other side of the map.
Nobody saw the 1 HP left on Shelly. No one saw it. It's
Nobody
every
saw that,
jungler's
yeah.
worst nightmare is
We're fine.
you're playing, you think you have it, and then all of a sudden it's one off, and you're like, really? You're gonna do me like this, League? It's fine. Not mad, just disappointed.
You know, all's well that ends well in my book. You know, as a jungler myself, you can't get the smite perfect every time. And Hero Joe, you know, was able to secure Shelly in the end. So that is what matters.
Especially with a tower taking here potential with the Nasus. We'll see if they end up opting that mid, opening up the map more for themselves, or if they wait to hold on to it in case the side lane does get an advantage or a
Death
kill.
Realm committed in the top lane as we got Hero Joe moving in to follow up on this as well. Sansorino doing a great job so far of dodging out on these obliters. Sidesteps the EQ combo as well. Does he get the Q back? Sansorino in the 1v2 outplays him. The substitute top laner for Clown Gaming finds the outplay. He will be shut down in the end. But what a glow up for Sansorino tonight so far. Has been doing such a great job there in the top lane. And now all those resources committed for Elysium on the top side of the map. Look at this commitment towards the bot tier 1. The Ziggs power, though, of the ultimate is going to clear that wave out once again.
Yeah, Ziggs just being a big nuisance here as they're trying to lay siege. You see Amumu coming bot lane. This is probably what they practice here before the game. Just make sure you get your bot that lead, grab that pressure, but it's very difficult to do with J4 looming and the Ziggs clear here as another wave starts coming in. But
okay,
Dredgeline
very in trouble. Yeah, that is going to be the lockdown onto the rail. Does jump over the wall, has the shield, flashes as well. The depth charge. What happened there? I thought depth charge had been committed, but the rail gets away from it somehow as now Squigs peeling for the support. Curse of the Sad Mummy committed as well just to deny that chase, but now Rudy flashing over the wall. There's the depth charge. Does get committed, and Wookiee Monster is going to get taken down. Cloudberry looks like maybe the rail was going to be able to get away, but in the end was not the case. Nice buffer there from Resilient to get over the wall with the Arcane Ship. There's so many members trying to chase him down. The flash will have to be used as well. The Ezreal will survive, but a nice counterpunch there for Elysium. They've tied us up 12-12.
Yeah, Dragon also coming up here in the next 10 seconds, and that was such a great fight. A lot of summoners being blown as well, and this was the stickiness, I like to say, of this team of once you get within range, you are not able to get out without penalty. And we see Ezreal flash healing, a great job getting over the wall there, trying to get out, but unfortunately, you know, it could not counter by any means necessary. Nasus now towards the bot lane. More free stacking and probably going to grab a few more people towards him. Bot lane now rotating towards that mid as we see a lot of teams do towards the mid section of the game. Mumu once again just hovering towards Rel and Ezreal everywhere they go.
Yeah, Dragon now is the focus. It's going to be our first Ocean Dragon, third Dragon overall. As the side of the Clowns look to try to secure this one. They're getting flanked right now on both sides. Naysayer coming up from the southern part of the river. Does have a nice flank position. The side of the Clowns are aware of it. They're backing away. They will, it looks like, have to see this objective. The teleport coming in now from CZI as well. Mordekaiser very deep behind enemy lines. The Dragon does go over. Resilient in the Death Realm as CZI tries to buy time for the rest of the team to reinforce. And it looks like he has bought enough. The Smolder ultimate comes out over the top, but Mom's not quite enough to finish anybody off just yet. Resilient taken down by the J4, but they're going so deep. The side of Elysium, Hero Joe shut down by the Smolder. It's a double kill over to Wookiee Monster. They may have lost the objective, but they find the punish in the team fight. Clown Gaming looking for a little bit more. Sansorino with the Ruthless Predator on towards Naysayer, who doesn't have a turret to fall back to. Squigs with another bandage toss. The Mummy, its curse will ring true onto the other Shuriman as Nasus gets taken down. 3-for-1 overall. Clown Gaming secure themselves the kill lead once again.
Yeah, I think the Mordekaiser TB was great from behind, but once they realized everybody was shifting over, I think you just have to sack him. You grab the objective, you put yourself in a great position, you grab next Dragon, you're on soul point now, but unfortunately they stuck around a little too long, and that's where the Smolder and company here decided to take advantage of their range, really chasing them down, and Amumu being a big part again, 4, 3, and 8 now. Finishing 2 completed items. A little bit of a swinging back too. We look at the gold lead. There's only a little over 1,000 difference here.
Yeah, it is a very close game that we have on our hands, which I think is not what most people were expecting from this matchup, right? Elysium looked really strong in week number 1 as the Shelly will charge into the tier 1, and Cloudberry will deal with Shelly, but not in time to save the turret. So that is going to be first turret of the game over to Elysium. But yeah, I think really big props to Clown Gaming for coming in tonight, clearly with a game plan, and they've been playing it out well so far.
Could you say they're not clowning around this game? I know. I'm gonna get booed off for that one. Please.
Yeah.
And I should
we'll
be
have to
muted
see.
for at least 5 minutes here, depending.
I think Wookie Monster gonna get engaged on down here. Ooh, just a couple of whacks from the Kane there. Naysayer getting some revenge onto the Smolder. As another kill for the big dog up to number 3. And yeah, I think it very much remains to be seen, Gitano, who is going to be wearing the makeup at the end of this game.
As long as it's not me, I'm gonna be happy. Nas is just chomping down towers like they are nothing at this point. We saw probably maybe a fifth, sixth of its health chomped every couple of seconds there with that Q, and it's only gonna get worse from here.
Yeah, he is getting real strong. Naysayer on that Nasus. Very, very threatening. You know, usually when you think of Nasus, you do think of him being really strong into AD carries, right? With the Wither being so debilitating for those kinds of characters to really try to play into. And, you know, Ezreal and Smolder are two of the AD carries that maybe are a little bit more resistant to that than many others, because so much of their damage is actually tied to spell cast as opposed to auto attack. So the attack speed debuff isn't necessarily as effective there. But when your Nasus is this big, I mean, the movement speed is obviously a huge part of that W as well. And we can really see Naysayer just having such a huge impact, especially in these smaller skirmishes, right? Where you can just cast the Wither on the one guy, and it pretty much just guarantees you're going to win out in the fight.
Yeah, when that Wither hits, you just want to almost stand still, because that's basically what we're going to be doing here for the next 3 to 4 seconds. You know, J4 going an aggressive build as well. I'd like to see it. You got Nasus completing 2 items to spell that third as well. We'll see what kind of boots he opts to go in here. At the end, he can go cooldown, or he's got the Merc Tread options here. And towards the top side, Renekton still holding his own 3-1-1, being able to match
CS
that
lead as
Mordekaiser.
well.
Yes, 40 CS up here against the Mordekaiser. The Proto Belt from Mordekaiser, is that something often that you see?
Interesting. Yeah, a little bit unusual, especially for a first item. Sansrino is going to go in here, does manage to take down that tier 1. That's another turret over to the Clowns. And they are looking to set up for this next dragon right now. Squigs is going to find Hero Joe in the jungle. Bandage toss for a little bit of damage at the outside of this one as the teams begin to posture for position. Naysayer is in a very interesting position here on the backside of the fight. Wookie Monster is going to get bonked a little bit by the Kane, but the CC is there. The Inferno Bomb is not really going to get a whole lot done. And Naysayer now has been taken down right at the start of the fight. Hero Joe is going to get absolutely blown up, melted by the little dragon, who does have that 225 stack breakpoint. He is executing people. Wookie Monster on the Smolder is now online. And with the jungler down for Elysium, this is going to be 2 dragons apiece as the next ocean makes its way onto the rift.
Yeah, once again, we see a little bit of deja vu happening, and someone being caught out towards the opposite side near that tier 2 option and trying to come in and make the play. And I think just a little bit more patience on their side when the objectives comes up will do them a lot of good, because they're playing great in that lane phase as well as picking people out, the roam from the Jarvan here, but just maybe a little bit more patience in that aspect.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail right on the head there, Gitano. It definitely does feel like, you know, Elysium maybe have it in their own heads a little bit that they feel like they should be heavily favored in this matchup. And they're kind of going for these really aggressive angles to try and, you know, get these flank positions and find these priority targets. But it seems like the flankers are just a little bit too far ahead of the rest of the team. I mean, maybe there's the communication just isn't quite there, or, you know, they're just not expecting Clown Gaming to collapse on the flank so quickly. But it definitely has not really been working out for them.
Yeah, you don't want to pull out the pizza out too early, okay? Just wait till it's done, just because the cheese is melted. doesn't mean it's ready to go. Wait for that golden brown crisp. We've been delaying the food talk here a little too long, and I'm getting hungry again.
Oh man, did you forget to eat again before the cast, Tano?
I'm sorry. It's
Oh,
my
dear.
own fault at this point. I chose my computer and gaming over food. I think I've made the right choices here.
Well, I mean, that's fair. When you put it like that, it's understandable. But I think, yeah, the food metaphors are unfortunately going to be pretty debilitating for you once again. But, hopefully we're going to be able to satiate your hunger with some high-octane League of Legends gameplay is what we have been treated to so far in this one.
So far, this first appetizer of a game, I'm loving. I'm almost filled on it, but I know I have more room here. I'm loving it. Yes, Burger King. Now, if I could just have Burger King and have it my way when I pick everyone's skin, I'd be super happy. Give me the crown. I want to wear it. You know what? Maybe next time I'm going to stop at Burger King, ask for a crown, and I will stream with that Burger King crown on my head.
There it is. There it is. I think that is the natural iteration of what we're doing here. So looking forward to that. That is something to keep an eye out for next week, guys. But getting ahead of ourselves, as this still is just the first game here in week number 2. As Clown Gaming, as previously mentioned, did get themselves up to that 2 Dragon points. So Dragon Soul still pretty far off for both of these teams. And right now, it is only the Baron that is alive on the map in terms of those neutral objectives. See Clown Gaming move into this topside river to try to secure some control for themselves. CZI looking for it, finds the Death's Grasp onto the Amumu. Infernal Bomb comes out as well, but the Amumu has a lot of magic resist. Actually, that was trapped in the Death Realm, so that is why the Memli took no damage from the Ziggs ultimate, but he will eventually fall as he comes out, taken down by Hero Joe. Wookiee Monster trying to stay alive. Watch the little smolder on the backside. The Executor is going to take down the Mordekaiser with the Depth Charge. Wookiee Monster cannot get away. Hero Joe there for the EQ follow-up. And Cloudberry now trying to escape, will not be able to. Sansorino almost in the 1v1, but Naysayer is just a little bit too big of a dog. That's a big old German Shepherd that we've got over there now. He's a little chihuahua at the start of the game. Not the case anymore. And now the wall starting to close in for Clown Gaming. Naysayer takes the bot tier 2, and all that vision control the Clowns were looking for is going to go back the other way.
Yeah, there's that control and that patience that we talked about earlier on that, the team coming together, Ziggs just securing, Mordekaiser doing a great job of the Death Realm, take out the Mumu 4, 4, and 11, such a crucial part of setting up this team and making sure they can't get to the back line, take out that equation, head to the back, and we saw Smolder, you can get away, but only for so long here, and just also seeing the Brothers of Destruction go at it. It was a close battle. It was definitely not a one-sided, but unfortunately, Nasus is only going to get bigger and bigger from here.
Yeah, and we saw the Rocket Belt value there for CZI as well, right? The fact that it allowed the Mordekaiser to just barely get in range to connect that E onto the Amumu, secure that priority frontline target into the Death Realm for, the side of Elysium to really swing the fight in their favor. So CZI, pretty quiet lane on the Mordekaiser, but, we saw last week as well that this champion can have massive impact in the team fights. That seems to be what CZI is looking for.
All right, got a question here for you, crewman. Are you going to trade a Dragon for a Baron here? Is that even an option for the team? Or do you believe there's going to be another fight here around the objective where both teams collide?
I feel like we're probably going to see the 5v5 around the Dragon. That's kind of my expectation. You see both the Renekton and the Mordekaiser off in the side lane there, both with teleport to potentially join up for the fray here. I think the question really comes down to, do you feel like you can win the 5v5? And honestly, if I'm the side of the Clowns, I'm feeling pretty good about it, right? The fights have been tough, but you've got the Smolder on 225 stacks. You've got the Ezreal on his 2-item spike. I feel like if you set this up appropriately, you should have the advantage in the 5v5, whereas the side of Elysium need to find, these clever angles, right? They need to get on top of this Smolder somehow, and it looks like they're not feeling confident to do it. The Ziggs ultimate will come out, but the Hero Joe tries to get in there to steal, but the smite is good from Squigs. The Cataclysm Flash combo from Hero Joe to get himself back out towards safety. Sansperino off on the flank there. Looks like the Renekton will be taken down. Dilly on a rampage, but on the other side here, it's Naysayer looking to get on top of the Smolder. Cannot quite finish him off. Wookiee Monster still alive in the back of the Dragon bed here, but the flap must be on cooldown. The Smolder cannot escape, and now Squigs trapped in the Death Realm once again. It is going to be Resilient, able to Arcane Shift out the back of the pit there, but a team fight victory for the side of Elysium. They lost out on the Dragon, and it was very close, but props to them for making it happen in the team fight.
Yeah, Soul Point knocking down here. But a great job by Ezreal and Smolder staying alive and really utilizing their kit to do that. We saw J4 going towards the backside, Ezreal doing a great job of holding the Arcane Shift, waiting for the Cataclysms, waiting for him to dash over, the flag and drag, and just a real nice display of control there. And Smolder living in that back of the pit for, I thought, about 5 more seconds longer than he was going to. And unfortunately, NASA is just one good Q away for having that dragon take a little bit of a nap here. So and we're only 30 minutes in. I feel like the true timers of like that quote unquote late game for this team is going to come at, the 40-minute mark, because we still have a couple of empty slots open here for items. Older, it is just getting more and more tilted for his side here. So completing the rapid fire cannon, even more range, and I have to dive even further back in. So we'll see exactly what happens if they end up splitting it again, a 1-3-1, or if they end up trying to come together here. Baron being the next objective they can look at, but no one's really trying to force the button here.
Yeah, I mean, the Clowns are going to be pretty content to keep playing this one nice and slow, right? They can just hang out until the next dragon spawns, try to get towards those even 4th items like you're talking about for the carries here. And as long as they can defend the Baron and not allow that to go over to their opponents, I feel like they should be pretty content still with this current game state. Wookiee Monster is pretty close to level 16 now as well. There it is right there. Rank 3 on the ultimate for Smolder. And, they're just playing this one out very patiently. Though that last team fight did get a little bit chaotic, but for the most part, I've been quite impressed with how Clown Gaming have been able to play around their carries.
Yeah, they've done a great job of just sticking together as that 4 to 5 crew, depending on who is playing. And this team fights towards objectives. They are very smart of causing a distraction here. Mordekaiser, Hextech, Protobelt, but...
Oh, that is going to be Arcane Shift on cooldown for Resilient. And he's not resilient enough to survive that one as the mace comes down and CZI picks up kill number 3 of the game. Teleport committed there from Sansorino to defend the top lane tier 2 turret. Will be able to do so. That's going to be another tool on cooldown, though, for the side of Clown Gaming. That one pick, is that going to be enough to actually start off the Baron for the side of Elysium? Looks like they are considering it at the very least.
I think it's something they have to deeply consider. As you have to send someone towards that Nasus, leaving yourselves in a 4v3 with whoever's, matching this is going to be a powerhouse. Smolder being a very key piece of your team-wise, so that could be something where they say, hey, this is our go button. Looks like they're going to be dancing around it here, so no Baron objective going to be taken, but definitely could have been a threat there for him.
Yeah, absolutely could have been, but holding off for now. They do have to be really careful, right, into this composition where they can get a lot of damage out over the wall, even with Ezreal down. The Smolder can be very threatening just by himself, after reaching that big break point. So they're going to hold off for now. The red buff was secured there by Clown Gaming. A cheeky little Hex Flash over the wall there for Cloudberry. Going to be able to crash down to safety. And less than a minute now. Gitano on our 4th Ocean Dragon, potentially sold for the side of the Clowns if they can secure it once again.
The NASA stacks, when we looked back before, it was at 933. We are
just
my God. To 1,000 stack Nasus. This Q is going to be
they're trying to collapse on him right now. The teleport comes in from CZI. He's going to be in time to save the mid laner. Needs to pulled in by the Magnet Storm. Nasus is burning down. Are they going to be able to execute him in time? They do get him. The Mordekaiser has somebody trapped in the Death Realm, but Rudy is burning down on the Nautilus. The Smolder is still alive. Wookiee Monster cleaning him up. Triple kill for the Clown Gaming mid laner and Dilly, the last to survive, and not for much longer. It's the clean ace. 5-0 for Clown Gaming. A pentakill for the mid laner and Ocean Soul on top.
Take this appetizer away. I just had my fill of it. It is beautiful. I'm ready for the main course afterwards. That was what a play there. Smart move, noticing that Nasus was going to be splitting on that side, and a nice, easy, slow push into him. And by the time they realized it, it was too late. They spent too many resources, dragging off the table. Now looking at Baron. Timers, unfortunately, no one's going to be able to contest this, as they are going to strike this down very quickly.
Exodia secured for Clown Gaming Blood Moon. And I mean, once again, we saw that flanker, you know, one member of the 1-3-1 composition for the side of Elysium caught out when the rest of the team was not in position to follow up, not in position to protect that Nasus. You know, CZI was pretty quick on the teleport, but that channel time is just too long, not quick enough, right? I didn't quite catch who CZI put in the Death Realm either, but it was not the Smolder critically, and Wookiee Monster just burned them all to pieces.
Yeah, they started going more peeling of Nasus than actually grabbing the Smolder and forcing everyone back to that lane. And now when you have this 1-3-1, you have to make sure you have pressure in those other lanes to make sure you are pushing up correctly. And that begins with communication and wards, having enough information to know where that other team is. So we'll see if they end up correcting their mistake here, trying to shove out the lanes, or if you see, you know, another Exodia here popping up in the hand, if they're all just going to bum rush the mid and force them to come to them.
Yeah, I mean, that's obviously extremely difficult to play out the 1-3-1 composition against a team that has Baron. I mean, it just really mitigates a lot of what you're trying to do in those side lanes. Looks like the call for Clown Gaming, the formation, is going to be 4-1 for now. Sanserino splitting towards the top side with teleport. Squigs flashing for it. Does get the flash off of Dilly. You have to say that's a good trade. Naysayer on the flank here. Tizia trying to get on top of the Smolder. They're looking to assassinate the little dragon, but they can't take him down in time. He takes two with him, and I think that should be enough for Clown Gaming to rule the day. They get the 4-for-1 team fight. It is only Wookiee who falls. 4 members strong with the Baron. They can push to end.
Yeah, they had a great flank pinch at the Smolder, but unfortunately, he's too big at this point. And yes, you trade the 1-for-4. Hashtag not worth. Game ending here. Twin Towers going down. Sorry if that's too soon. And the Nexus will be on their plate here.
Let's go back to food metaphors, bro.
My bad. We're going down.
Oh my goodness.
And that's my job. I will send my my papers here after the game for early retirement, no pension.
No, I mean, I think it was Clown Gaming just flying high here in this one. Gitano, they were able to direct the airplane exactly where they wanted it to go. And that was into the enemy next.
Don't feed into it. I've corrupted him now.
I'm sorry. I had to. But I mean, what an incredible showing. I mean, Wookiee Monster is going to finish that one out 14-7-8 on the Smolder. And I mean, they just played it out so well. You know, I was a little bit apprehensive for Elysium, you know, just given the drafts. But I thought that maybe, you know, the player difference would be enough to, you know, allow them to pilot this 1-3-1 composition effectively and kind of snowball the game before the Smolder could really come online. But they weren't able to. You know, there were too many of those moments where members were just getting caught that little bit out of position. The team wasn't able to follow up. You know, a bunch of those last hits going over to Wookiee on the Smolder. And he got to that point where he was just too big to fail.
Yeah, a little too many variables on that side of the team with the 1-3-1. You know, not just this team. I've seen many teams. It is one slight misstep that will either win you the game or lose it for you. And unfortunately, this went the other way. Zig's doing a massive amount of damage here, 44,000, doing a great job for his team. Nasus was wailing, you know, more on towers than players, which what we expect him to be doing here. But on the flip side here, we see pretty even numbers here throughout the jungle through the AD carry on that mid side, and of course Wookiee here going to be looked at here for the next game to see if he can do a repeat performance. Can you grab 2 pentakills in a series? Has that ever been done?
Well, he's going to have to do it on a champion that's not Smolder, because that is obviously going to be ineligible for our next game. So we'll see what other tricks Wookiee Monster can pull out of the bag here. What other surprises are they hiding in the clown car? That remains to be seen. But before we go to break, Katano, who's our game 1 POG? You know, Smolder is the obvious choice. Got the pentakill. I thought Twigs, though, had a great game as well on the Amumu. I felt like, you know, a lot of those early fights, especially to get them that early lead, a lot of that came down to the Amumu being in the right place and going for these really nice angles. And even Sansorino, I mean, the player who we really expected to be the weak link had such a great performance. But yeah, I think we will give it to the Smolder, as Wookie was the one who put on the carry pants in the end. We're going to go to that short break, guys, and then we'll be back for game 2.
Moving on. Keep moving on. And they say I have a grim sense of humor.
All right, everybody, welcome back to BOL Emerald week number 2. We are going to be getting into that game 2 draft relatively shortly. We will, of course, be swapping sides for that draft as we have the Clowns moving over to blue. But in the meantime, I wanted to take a moment, Gaetano, especially since you were not able to join us for Otter Talk this week, to take a look at the rankings for this Freljord division that our guests and myself had put together. It is, I think, especially interesting in the context of that first game that we just watched. A lot of people did feel that Elysium, is one of the favorites to top the group, but there were a couple of people who had them ranked a little bit lower, including Taunty there on the end, who is, of course, a member of TTM, the team that he put in second. And I think it's worth noting as well, excuse me there, as let's just get your thoughts on these rankings. Where do you land?
Yeah, it's definitely early, especially, off season, you grab new picks. Coming into it, you can only analyze so much in the beginning. We will have, I'm guessing, true rankings here after a couple of weeks where we can actually see where everyone lies. But there is a trend, and it can't be ignored as well. People are placing people in the realm for a specific reason. But having said that, people can pop off. Definitely carry a team. You're feeling it. So as much as you want to look into these and really dive in and say, everyone's placing this team super high. All it takes is one bad day or a few more to kind of dip back down here. We see it all the way from here to the LCS where, you can be hyped up for this amount, but it's not always going to be that way, unfortunately. Having said that, though, there's a reason for it.
Yeah, of course. Upsets can always happen. That's why we play out the games. It's rankings, especially this early on in the season, like you're just talking about, Gaetano. They always have to be taken with a grain of salt. We don't really know at this point who the top dogs are going to be. A lot of people saying that Elysium was looking to be one of the stronger teams in this division, but after losing that game number 1 to Clown Gaming, who pretty much, actually, yeah, literally everybody had Clown Gaming ranked below Elysium, at various points in the rankings there. So this is decidedly, an underdog matchup for Clown Gaming, and it's very cool that they were able to take that first game. But the other thing that I really wanted to mention as we move into our Game 2 draft, Gaetano, was the fact that in week number 1, Elysium's opponent was Elysian Thunder Raptors. And in that match, the Thunder Raptors actually did not make it onto the Rift in time to play the first game. So it was an FF in game number 1, and then it did end up being a very one-sided stomp in game 2 for Elysium. The game was over in like 25 or 26 minutes, and the kill count was like 26-5 or something. Elysium destroyed them in that second game, but I do feel like it's a distinct possibility that Elysium weren't really meaningfully tested in that week number 1. And if they ended up going down to Clown Gaming here in week 2, that could really throw those rankings into a bit of a tizzy.
Yep, it definitely could. But also having the knowledge that if someone is that one trick and you pull out on game 1, you give them that champion, and now for game 2 you have to pick something else. For the way the new league mechanics are, that can always be a factor too, because I've seen people on different ones where it's not quote unquote ultimate bravey type style where you can play whatever you want, and they allow to get them this champion for 2 or 3 times even, and really carry the games with just that one. So I think that is a great factor in this league as well, to really test people's champ pools, knowledge, and team comps too. Just because it works in this type of style and environment doesn't mean with the same kind of champions it's gonna factor in. So you almost have to pick your poison and power when you can. Maybe they're saying, hey, we'll give up game 1, this was our trial by fire, we now scout out the team, we know what's going to be happening, their play style, let's edit, and we're going to go ahead with 2 and 3 and take them.
Yeah, well, we'll just have to wait and see if that does end up working out for Elysium, as we have another airplane making its way onto Summoner's Rift here, Gaetano, in game number 2 as Corky comes through with the B1 pick. And then Elysium going to respond with Jinx Leona. It's going to be the bot lane locked away for Elysium. And most likely that is going to be responded with the bot lane for Clown Gaming, as Braum, of course, a classic counter into that Leona.
You're baiting me in. and I'm not going to do it. I have the strong,
I'm doing no
defined
such
iron
thing.
will that I will. Oh, good God! Ugh. I'm hearing horrible thoughts in my head, and I'm trying to block them out. So we'll see how long they last. Problem with the big door here to block the damage of Jinx. Especially with that ultimate. I'm not saying what that is. Varus also being looked at. I'm a big, huge fan. When he first came out, I played him to no end. Great range. You can go a little bit of a hybrid.
Oh.
And of course, as soon as I get excited, they throw the curveball,
Switched and
and
baited.
it's fine. You know what? That's it. I'm gonna make a pizza. Come back in 30 minutes. We'll see where the game's at. There's
Make sure you
gonna be
get
no
that golden
problems
brown
here.
crust, okay, Gitano? It's very
I
important
will.
right
I'll
here.
make sure of it.
Okay. That being said, yeah, the Kaisa here is going to be paired up alongside the Braum, so that is going to be a double carry. The double 80 carry setup for Clown Gaming, once again, similar to what they had in game number 1. And then the Way is going to come out in answer to the Corki in the mid lane. So it's going to be Naysayer on a very different look than what we saw in game number 1 with the Nasus.
Yeah, going from almost no range to a very extended range I can hit quite a bit far away, especially with the double 80 carries that they're running. I think this is a smart move. And, Clown Gaming, to testify, earlier in the game, we had a little bit of a mixed reaction to it initially, and the team fights weren't going as smoothly. But once they really hit those items and hit their team comp of, great team fight, make sure they're rotating, grab that person out that's playing out, it just looked better and better, and they really gained some confidence and momentum here for that. Take us through the second round ban before they finish out their entire comps here.
Yeah, we got Elysium banning away a couple of safe top lane options, because obviously Sansarino is not going to have the blind pick, actually, as the Mundo comes through here on the R4. So saving R5 pick for jungle. Maybe they're just feeling like Sansarino has been banned out, and maybe Mundo was like the last pick that they were worried about, so they're just going to take that one away. And on the other side, the Gwen and the Tom Kench obviously were removed by Clown Gaming. What is Sansarino's option going to be this time around? The Aatrox being considered right now, that is something that, was actually ignored. Wasn't banned or anything like that in game number 1 draft, and is going to be locked away here for game 2. So that is, I feel like that's going to be a pretty difficult matchup into the Mundo. But maybe, they are just pinching Sansarino's pool here, and you had to go down to something pretty far down the priority list, as the Volibear is going to be the jungle option, and now we just need that R5 pick for Elysium.
Yeah, Thunderlord popping up there, another popular jungle choice for obvious reasons. I want to just quickly swing back to that Aatrox pick. I know Set was being hovered at that point. A really good tank grab into the team fights, which I, thought was a great choice here. But Aatrox on the wild, you send them out, free them, and just watch them run around and wreak havoc here.
If you love a Darkin, set him free. Morgana on the R5.
Okay.
That is going to be the pick. Yeah, so very, very interesting here. The Black Shield doesn't really feel like it has a ton of value against this composition necessarily. I mean, the Braum passive stun is pretty telegraphed, right? So if somebody is in danger of getting caught out by the concussive blows, then you can deny that with the Black Shield. And then there's, the Volibear engage. It's kind of the only other thing that you need to be worried about as the Morgana here. So a little bit of a curious option, I feel like. What do you think the reasoning is behind going for this Morgana R5 in the jungle?
I think this might be something where they're just hoping to make sure that Volibear and squad doesn't get a chance to run at them. We don't see a lot of dive between Corki, maybe Valkyrie in, otherwise Kaisa being able to go in there as well. Aatrox and Volibear are very telegraphed of where they're going and have limited options there. So I'm guessing that's the reasoning behind the Morgana pick, a little extra safety and being able to really just hold them down in front and let Jinx have her way.
Yeah, absolutely right. So I think that could definitely work out for Elysium. It feels like they maybe do have, I want to say, the slightly more difficult to execute composition once again, and not to the same degree as what they had last game. Now they do have much more comfortable ability to play out the front to back, right, with the Jinx hyper carry, as well as the Wei is going to be doing a ton of damage, and they've got a great front line here with the Leona and the Mundo. But, looking at the other side here, Clown Gaming, I feel like they've got a pretty comfortable draft for themselves once again here as well. They've got, the scaling AD pick in the mid lane for Wookiee Monster. They've got a nice, potentially aggressive ADC for Resilient down there towards the bot side. They've got, something that Sanserino can theoretically play pretty safely in the laning phase up there towards the top lane. So I feel like, both sides are probably going to be pretty happy with this draft. And it's going to be really interesting. The Morgana is definitely the pick that's standing out the most to me. I'm really curious to see what the Morgana is going to be able to get done in this one.
Yeah, it definitely wasn't one of my thinking they're going to pick, but having said that, that's happened to me many times, and I've been proven wrong time and time again for it. So I will not be hating on it too much, as I'm a big believer of how you play the champion rather than who you play, especially if you do have that mastery on them and you know them inside and out. I'll take someone knowing a champion. For me existence, I love Cassidy. I'll play him all day, every day into, those mage assassins. And at the end of the day, I feel very comfortable on him. Is he meta? Not by any means, but it's my comfortability. And I'm hoping this is translating for Elysium on Ice.
You have a very eclectic champion pool, don't you, my friend? Who were we talking about last week? It was like Jarvan, and was it Victor that you played a lot of? I can't quite recall. Yeah?
Yep.
You've got it's an interesting mix there, to be sure.
Cassidon's my first love.
Is he? Okay, all right.
Rift and
yeah. I mean, makes sense. He's he's an OG champion, and back in the day, he was super broken, right? Back if you're playing in season 2, season 3, I mean, he was a monster back in those days. Before there are so many other champions that can kind of do what he does, but earlier in the game and more reliably. What was that production? Sorry. Oh, yeah, for sure. Yeah, I think most of these lanes kind of play themselves almost. I want to say, Gaetano, not to say that nothing can happen, but, if things go to chalk, Corki and Wei both kind of just want to scale up. They're farming it out, waiting to get their items. Leona obviously can play aggressively in the bot lane, but not really into Braum, and Jinx just kind of wants to scale up anyway, so that's probably going to be pretty chill as well. The top lane is going to be really interesting for me. I think that was kind of... there ended up being a lot happening in that game number 1 where it didn't really end up being the focus, that top lane. But I think that was kind of one of the stories that actually, in hindsight, was most impressive for me. The fact that Sanserino, the substitute top laner, even had that 1v2 outplay right towards the top side, and just overall had, I think, a really great performance in that game number 1. So it definitely does feel like, Elysium were kind of trying to target him a little bit, especially towards the second phase of this draft. And if Sanserino can have another really solid weak side game on the Aatrox this time around, that could be what Clown Gaming needs to pull off what would be an incredible upset if they could actually get the 2-0 tonight. How do you expect that top lane to go?
Yeah. I think we're going to see exactly what we did last time. Some trades back and forth, pretty even throughout the entirety of it. Great job of just stepping into this role and really filling in and doing very well. So we'll see if the matchup is the same here towards the top side for Aatrox versus Mundo. I haven't seen a lot of it together, but Mundo going where he pleases against the unstoppable Aatrox of everything devastation. So I'm really excited to see it. And to echo what you said earlier too, I think a lot of these lanes are playing themselves, just scrimmaging back and forth until we get to that 20-30 minute mark, and then we're going to start to see the hammers come out.
Your game 2 prediction, Gaetano, or your anti-prediction, however you'd like to do it, is fine with me.
Basically,
what are we predicting or not predicting?
I'm 100% right now on game 1.
I think you are.
So, losing. That's a bad stat to have. I will throw it to Clown Gaming here. I would love to see the
trying to get us that
upset.
game 3.
Yes.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. Do you want to finish that thought?
No, continue. That is my prediction.
Okay.
Clown Gaming.
Yeah, I mean, they have the momentum, right? Clown Gaming, after that game number 1, picking up that huge win. Wookiee Monster on a similar kind of champion. right? We are not infinitely stacking this time around, but Corki can still be really powerful towards those later stages. So we'll have to see if they can make magic happen 2 games in a row. You know, Clown's somewhat known for performing magic tricks, so it just might end up happening, guys. We're going to go to another short break, but you don't want to miss this one. See you on the Rift. Okay, everybody, welcome back. We got a beautiful day here on Summoner's Rift. Clear blue skies, perfect weather for flying as Wookiee Monster makes his way back out into the mid lane on the Corki this time around. Looking like a pretty calm opener for us once again, Gitano. No early action to speak of necessarily.
Yeah, not as many rings as last time. Doran's Blade being shared as well as a shield being Doraned here. And have you ever seen anything but clear skies on the Rift?
Yes.
Have you ever
When
seen
there is an ocean soul on the Rift, then we do get a little bit of rain.
Oh,
So,
I stand
occasionally.
corrected here.
Yeah.
At least the starting of it is always good, minus
That's
the
fair.
Winter
That's fair.
Wonderland.
You know, personally, I like
But-
to do a little bit of headcanon where like the weather on Summoner's Rift is reflective of the weather that I'm experiencing in real life. So, you know, that's kind of just for me. But anyways, yeah, you are quite right that in technical terms, the early minutes on Summoner's Rift do generally to be very clear in the skies department. As that's a nice cleaver early on for CZI, trying to assert some dominance over the top lane this time around.
Yeah, chunking out a lot of health here. I'm from Minnesota, so you know, if the weather reflected, it would not be a great time on Summoner's Rift.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Chicago here, so it's a similar concept. But today is
Oh,
actually a
you're from
beautiful day here in the
Chicago.
Windy City.
Ooh.
So, quick
Oh,
note,
word.
Alls, I think you might think that you're muted, but you are actually not muted at the moment. Yeah, just quick note there. But yes, as
I
we
was enjoying the singing. You know, I put a request for raindrops keep falling on my head. Ba, ba.
Yeah, I mean, he was nailing it, for sure. As that is going to be a Zenith Blade that gets nailed by Rudy. And the bottom lane, Flame Chomper follow-up. Pretty nice there from Dilly. So that's going to be a positive trade for the Elysium 2v2.
As well as blowing the cleanse as well. So,
Yeah.
or, I don't know why I keep on trying to say Callista. Kaisa will not be
Kalista,
having that.
Kaisa, you know.
I think they're two different champions. One automatically
That is
kills the
true.
partner and then brings it back undead. The other is from the void, which I'm not sure how much better that is.
Doing great, doing great. As this wave is going to get shoved in by the Void AD carry and her Freljordian support. And yeah, I guess is that also a little bit of like a passive buff if you play a Freljordian champion in the Freljordian division? Is there like some kind of hidden, you know, stat boost that happens there? I don't know.
I feel like it should. Like, you know, the Leona versus Diana. Like, if you get a kill, you get like 1
Yeah,
AP
that's
or
a
something,
thing,
you know,
right?
for
Is
it.
that
There
still
should
a
be
thing?
something encoded. Let me get on the phone with the
Okay.
people at Riot Gaming. I have the
Sounds good.
inside.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Got that's why we've got Gitano around. He's got those connections. All right, that's
why.
really nice. Anyways, yeah, we had our junglers clearing towards opposite sides this time around. So these, oh my goodness, Santorino finds the solo kill for first blood in game 2. I'm so sorry, Santorino, that I missed the lead up to that. Because, oh my god, the substitute top laner is popping off right now. And the mid lane as well as another solo kill. Let's keep looking at the top lane here. Santorino trying to get away. The auto attack is going to finish him off. So Hero Joe able to avenge the top laner there. This action breaking out of nowhere. What is happening? Yeah, that just came out of nowhere. 2-1. Elysium up early as here comes Squigs trying to make his presence felt towards this bottom lane, but Dilly and Rudy far enough back where they're not in any real danger.
Yeah, I thought this was gonna be a calm early game, but they're going guns blazing out here on both sides, and we see another triple longsword start here. Gotta love the aggression. I hope this Aatrox just starts to roll a little bit more ahead and really just starts to take over the game.
Wow. I mean, I think that is somewhat to be expected with the matchup, right? As Mundo tends to be very weak early on before he gets tanky, and Aatrox can be very powerful if he lands the sweet spots in these early trades, and that was just expertly played from Santorino to get the solo kill and the first blood money on top of that. You know, it was a nice solo kill from Nasa here in the mid lane as well, just landing those skill shots on the way. Wookiee Monster, our Game 1 POG, getting caught. Had to press the escape button there to get out of the aircraft, and still ended up giving over some gold to his opponent. So that's good look from the Elysium mid laner. And we got to stay on our toes here, it seems, Gitano, as these fighting could break out at any moment.
Yeah, action kind of everywhere. There is no slowing down for this team. Bot lane kind of starting this off here with that level 2 engage, and it's kind of just flowed through the entirety of it here. Do you think we're going to see Squigs focus the bot lane as he did here in game 1 and kind of make sure he, you know, gets a little bit of more focus there? Or do you think he's going to roam to other lanes?
Yeah, I mean, I think the bot lane focus could work out decently well for the Volibear, but Sansarino, unfortunately, seems to be in a lot of trouble towards this top side right now. Aatrox shrunk down extremely low, and Hero Joe going for the wraparound, thinking about it. A nice ward in the bush, though, is going to give Sansarino a little bit of an advanced notice, and the Aatrox does get a little bit of healing there from the passive as well. So he's going to be able to sustain up in this lane for now, and is still sitting on the teleport as well, as we see Squigs start out the dragon towards the bot side. Wookiee Monster, nice Valkyrie, gets away from the Spiraling Despair. That's going to be on cooldown for nothing there for Naysayer, and that should be all the control that the Clowns need, as Zenithblade connecting once again for Rudy towards this bottom side. Concussive Blows getting stacked up, not enough to really threaten the Leona, as the first neutral of the game will go over to the Clowns.
Yeah, Void Grub's being taken just before that, so we see the early trade Grubs for Dragon as they get taken one right after another. They're in Corki, with the Shrapnel here. It's going to be that lead up. I don't expect him to be do anything crazy that way. Just the range and the amount of abilities you have. There's a reason why I ban that champion every time I play. It's a headache I refuse to deal with.
Yeah, Naysayer definitely being very annoying there, and the Corki does not have teleport, so Wookiee in a really tough spot there. Low on mana with the wave coming in. A Severing Bolt of Comet, oh my goodness! Naysayer, the back-to-back solo kills for the Way. That is going to be looking very similar to the performance that it looked like he had in week number 1. Mid laner coming alive here for Elysium, getting them off to a nice early lead, almost 1,000 gold already. Here comes Hero Joe in towards the bottom lane. Zenithblade connecting once again for Rudy. Shield of Daybreak as well, but Glacial Fissure is there for Cloudberry. Gets the knock up at the Dark Binding. He's going to connect. The Cleanse was back off cooldown, but now the Soul Shackles have to be flashed away from. That is both summoners down off the Kaisa, and a kill going over to the Morgana.
Yeah, throwing everything out there, and the kitchen sink as well here. Aatrox is getting cut down by that cleaver every time he gets hit. Just a giant chunk of health being taken away. And as we saw earlier here a couple of minutes ago when the Morgana was looking to wrap around, it was because of, 3 rapid succession hits of the Mundo cleaver landing here. So, man,
Squiz go for an invade right now. It's going to get spotted out by Hero Joe. That's a Stormbringer committed, as the big chicken does go over to the Volibear. Hero Joe's going to just be able to put on the black shield and back away from that one. So loses the chicken, but not much else. And a bit of a big commitment there for Squigs, as now Wookiee Monster going to Valk forward. Cloudberry on the roam. Can't quite connect with the Winter's Bite, but the Spiraling Despair also going wide there. As Wookiee Monster now is just going to hope to get this wave shoved in. Sansarino, the same story up towards the top side, as Aatrox is hoping to finally get off a much-needed reset to replenish that health bar.
Yeah, coming back with a pickaxe now on his second buy, the refillable potion of all for a little more sustain inside the lane here. We'll see with that first item being complete once these top laners decide to back. 2-0 and 0 for the Morgana. I know we had some reservations here at the start of the game, but off to a great start here.
Yeah. First completed item in the game for Hero Joe there is the Blackfire Torch is going to be the option. That is just going to accelerate the clear speed of the champion who already has a very fast clear, right? They're just going to be blitzing through that jungle.
Yeah, hopefully Volibear will be keeping up here. A little under the 10 CS lead, so nothing too crazy just yet, hovering around that top side. We'll see if the Grubs, if there's another point of contention as we look back towards game 1. We had, I think, 9 people committed for the second round of Grubs. We'll see if
that's right.
Another important part here as Morgana chunking down, but unfortunately Corki able to pick up the last bit of damage.
Yeah, there's an airstrike successful onto the chickens there. Nicely done for Wookiee Monster. And now Hero Joe's going to move back towards that North River. Grasping Maw gets Corki out of the Valkyrie there. Nice skill shot from Naysayer to deny that potentially aggressive look for Wookiee. And the Grubs, as you just mentioned, as we were just talking about, Gitano, have spawned, have returned to the Rift. Sansarino with a decent amount of control up towards this top side. And there is the teleport committed from the Corki to get back towards mid lane. Hero Joe's just kind of waiting around, but the Morgana has no assistance from the rest of the team at the moment. It's a little bit dangerous for Hero Joe to be poking his head in like this. That is going to be 2 grubs going over. Is the side of Clown Gaming going to be able to secure all 3? Yes, they will. So they deny that 4 grub buff from going over. And now we are 30 seconds out on the next dragon.
Yeah, a little bit of 50-50 on the grubs going over, and I just don't think they had the resources to commit. Mundo being pushed up, Leona not being there, a smart move by Morgana, saying, hey, maybe try to Black Shield grab, or not Black Shield, the the puddle throwdown, and possibly grabbing 1 up, but nothing that you need to risk your life on, especially with this lead. Mids are already going super great, even CS, but up 2 kills, completing the Hex Tech, Gunblade, and, we see time and time again the amount of poke and the great job he is doing containing Wookiee. And I think the longer that happens, the better they have towards this mid game to make sure he does not come online. But piggybacking off of game 1, I think there's only so much you can do to hold this man down, because he still, I believe, is riding that high towards the end of that Smolder game.
Yeah, the Corki, I think, is not quite as much of a late-game scaling threat as he used to be, right? Since they reworked him to be less about the rocket poke and more about these kind of all-ins and trades with the phosphorus bomb. So, that is a little bit unfortunate for Wookiee Monster in this particular instance, where he's not quite going to have that same level of threat. Spiraling Despair is going to connect here for an Naysayer. The Severing Bolt follow-up is going to be there. Oh, I think maybe just barely going wide there, actually, for the way. And Wookiee Monster will survive this time around, as we did also see that second dragon going over as the neutrals continue to be traded.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much Volibear can do here to help out the mid lane. We see a great ward coverage here, sweeping towards the bot side. You see Morgana also roaming up, but a great job of just making sure that Way always has a way out, or he knows that if something is coming, he's going to have that information. And we continue to see him push up, poke out, and there's not a lot of counter to this. And I know it can be very menacing as a mid laner to say, hey, I need some help, I need some relief from this, but unfortunately you can't get it with the amount of ward coverage that's on there. So a great job here, and hopefully Clown Gaming have the answer. Unfortunately, I don't think they see the trap here, but Corki doing a good job of backing up, sniffing that something is amiss.
Yeah, no eyes on the Leona right now. Rudy not going to be able to find any angles towards that mid lane. We did just see Squigs getting secure on the Scuttle Crab, which is, of course, going to be great news for the Volibear, who is managing to keep pace with the Morgana. Despite that Blackfire Torch, being done, you were kind of, considering that earlier on as well. Squigs has been successful so far in keeping up with the clears.
Yeah, grabbing the row 2 on the Volibear, so kind of delaying that power spike, but grabbing, the AP, the health, the mana, everything that goes along with it, that really does help you scale more towards that mid game here. Dragon 1-1 on the side here, and it looks like we got Earth Dragon.
Control over the north side river right now for Clown Gaming. They're considering a start on this Rift Herald, and they will go ahead and poke Shelly to see if they're going to be able to gain her assistance at some point later on in the game. We do have Hero Joe also on this side of the map, as we can see here, just doing the red buff right now. But I don't know if Elysium are actually going to be able to get into the river in time to contest this one. Herald getting down pretty low. One more eyeball poke plus the smite should do it, and there is the secure, but here is the team fight breaking out. Squigs trying to move forward to delay the arrival of the carries, but Cloudberry is going down pretty low. Stormbringer does come out. Squigs barely surviving on a sliver of health. Cloudberry will burn down as finally the kills start to come through, and it is Elysium who managed to get the 2-for-1 in the fight. A very close call there, and the Clowns did get the objective.
Yeah, very close. And we see at the very end, Jinx, unfortunately, field goaling it right between where that could have been the re-engage button in for them. And a great job by Corki going over the side
breaking
of the
out
wall
in the top
there.
lane now. Sansrino flashing in for the Q3. Hero Joe barely surviving the Corki damage with the Gatling gun. Will take down the Morgana, but now Wookiee Monster doesn't have any tools left to try and escape. It is going to be CZI picking up that last hit. And meanwhile, I think we had a kill on the bottom side of the map as well. Was that a solo kill for Dilly? The way roaming down there had the impact
there. But Mundo just sticking in the pocket there, just waiting for Corki to blow everything, and then just saying, good luck, have fun. Here's a quick gray screen for you as I power up here. But the CS difference here, 146 to 111 here. So great job by Aatrox here. Just, getting a really good lead here. Mundo now 2-1 and 2 with the Warmongs. There were changes to that as well. We'll see if that has any impact here as we get later in the game.
Yeah, and Wookiee Monster was able to complete his first item there. Does have Trinity Force in pocket now, but Naysayer is so powerful on this way. Let's quick look at how much gold in pocket. Not that much, honestly, for the way. So not going to be able to complete any second items in the immediate future, but that is definitely a strong point right now for the side of Elysium. Resilient moving forward. Proxy Concussive Blow. Solar Flare not quite able to get the stun. Mega Death Rocket. Good damage. The Dark Binding connects as well. And Resilient pops the cleanse, but still burns down to the dot from the Blackfire Torch. Now Rudy with the re-engage. Connects on the Zenith Blade as Shelly is going to serve as a distraction to get those other two members out to safety. Naysayer in the mid lane. It's the return solo kill for the Wookiee Monster as he gets his revenge.
The Trinity Force coming in clutch there. And we see Wookiee Monster having a great knowledge of that champion and just knowing he can 1v1 solidly the way that is ahead. Now 3-1 and 2. He drops to as Mountain Drake being spawned here. We'll see if he may bit off more than he can chew.
Wookiee can be able to get away from this one. Can just Valk into the Raptor Pit. Is on the wrong side of Summoner's Rift right now, though. Is going to look for the execute. Oh, no. Dilly is here. Oh, he flashes forward. That is going to be the flash down for the Jinx, but that is going to be first kill of the game for the Elysium ADC.
Yeah, picking up the Collector as well here. Dragon being up, Morgana looking over there, and now without a key piece of Wookiee being there to help slide over and cover. They might be looking here for that Dragon Snag, putting them at 2 here and possibly knocking on the next one down the road. We saw this happen around the Dragons where, they tried to split. They tried to get a little bit of a wraparound. Unfortunately, it was not really working for them. Do you think we're going to see that this game again, or you think they're going to be a little bit more proactive? Like,
okay, World Ender popped in the top lane. It's on Sereno looking to commit for this one. There is the ultimate from the Mundo is going to come out as well. The Q3 not quite going to connect, and the health regen for CZI is going to be enough to deny the possibility of the solo kill, but Squigs looking for the cross map. The Dragon just went down on the other side, so they know the side of the Clowns. They know that they have a window here. The disable on the turret just for good measure. Beautifully done, honestly, by the Clowns. They knew they couldn't contest for the Dragon. They find another kill in the top lane.
Yeah, great job by Aatrox, just making the Mundo respected. Pop the ult and Volley Bear. Good job of roaming up there and just taking out that. We'll see if they end up grabbing the tower. Meanwhile, mid lane,
nice sidestep there for Cloudberry. Puts up the door. Does still have to flash away to get away from this very scary Dilly. And they will be able to survive here. The duo lane that are currently in mid for Clown Gaming. But really the pressure being put on by Elysium. You can tell that they're really feeling feisty after that game 1 loss. They're going to try to push the pace of this game as much as possible.
Yeah, 20 minutes in, and we're 5 and 11 here for the kills. And what we thought would be a slow game, it has been kind of a brawl here. In every single lane, we've seen action.
Yeah, a lot of solo kills this game. Some odd-numbered fights as well, right? We've seen some good rotations from both mid laners. But yeah, I think it has been a very scrappy one. You're absolutely right, Gitano.
Now when I hear you say Dilly, all I can think about is Dilly. And now I want to grab, I'm not who sure's sponsoring us, but, if there were a company that was known for the word Dilly, they could definitely reach out. Oh, well, that's strike 2 against me tonight. I just need one more bad reference, and then I am out. I can finally make the pizza and get out of here.
Well, you have to hang your toes there, Katano. Oh my goodness. Okay.
Good thing that is
anyways,
with there.
Yeah, we're not going to repeat that one. But yeah, we do have the Baron arriving onto the Rift. We do as we crest the 20-minute mark here in game number 2. And it is a pretty marginal gold lead, honestly, for Elysium. They do have a lot of that gold on their carries, on the Jinx, on the way, so they're going to feel pretty good about that. And, of course, actually the most gold on the team for Hero Joe there in the jungle on that R5 Morgana that I think has had a great impact so far.
Yeah, I would agree. 5, 1, and 2 here for the Morgana, and has really been everywhere for the presence receive. Top lane, towards the mid, bot lane also trying to do the counter.
Squig's going to find Joe in the bush here. There's a solar flare going to come down onto the Bullet Bear, who does have the ultimate to get that little bit of health back, but still going to burn down to the 2-item Morgana. In comes Cloudberry, now finds that Glacial Fissure onto 2. Resilient flashing for the Acathian Rain, gets the kill back, gets the shutdown even, I think it was, onto that Morgana. As Cloudberry's still alive on the front lines, connects the Winter's Bite. Sansrino thinking about moving in for the flank angle there, but changing his mind. They're just going to be happy with that 1-for-1, Clown Gaming.
Yeah, just Sansrino being able to kind of step up there and say, hey, either disperse or we're going to have something to say here.
Oh, that Zenith Blade is going to connect onto Wookiee Monster. The Cleaver's going to have to be flashed away from the Severing Bolt. Will connect, but not enough damage to finish the job. That is another summoner down for a Clown Gaming carry. No flash on either Corki or Kaisa now. And we've got a potential Mountain Soul point in just over a minute, Gaetano.
Yeah, we'll see if they end up just, everyone's shifting over to that. We got a minute left. I always think of games, if a minute has passed and you're not set up, you're late. It's one of those, you got to be early to be on time here. Not a lot of vision coming out, so still kind of up for grabs. We'll see who ends up getting there first. We see all the wards here, headed towards the top side around Baron. I'm counting, quickly offhand here, just about 8 of them up there here. So the reset from Leona now fully stacked with that vision ward as well as Way. People, I do this all the time. I tend to sleep on not picking them up, but a great job by their team making sure they have the vision and control here, as Mundo and Morgana will kind of search through and pick off what they can for vision, as well as giving a little bit of reprieve from the other side.
Absolutely right. Elysium looking to get the looking to take control here in the river. We do have Sansrino getting the shove out towards this bottom lane, but has to be careful about getting collapsed on because Elysium do have so much control right now. The Aatrox realizes it, backs away in time. But still, so much control over this objective for Elysium right now. We see Wookiee Monster splitting off towards the side here in the top lane. Does have teleport if he wants to join, but wouldn't be surprised, honestly, just to see Corki commit to the split push. It's dangerous, but they could just give up this second Mountain Dragon. They're really not in position to fight for it as Dark Binding's going to connect onto Sansrino, who is going down pretty low. They managed to burst him down. Wookiee has teleported into the play. The Stormbringer forward for Squigs, and Wookiee Monster is going to be able to get the damage out. Naysayer, though, on the flank. The flanking Way is going to be able to get the damage down onto the back line. Double kill over to Dilly, and it's going to be Elysium on ice, cleaning up the team fight, getting the dragon, and looking to bring us to Game 3.
Yeah, Crewman, I think I agree with you where you just let Corki split. You possibly threaten that top tower, maybe even get that while they're grabbing their dragon, have your team kind of dance with them a little bit. But unfortunately now Baron being looked at here, and there's no one on the side. Just having that mental thinking process of, if we lose this team fight, what is going to happen on the back end? Hopefully maybe a little bit more passive thinking there for him on next time. But Baron going down slow, but I don't think there'll be any contention here, as we see it less than a fourth.
Yeah, ended up being a pretty devastating mistake there for Clown Gaming. They thought that maybe, Wookiee had enough time to finish off the tier 2, had a decent angle there to teleport in and join up with the rest of the team, but it was the flank on the flank. Naysayer able to find the wraparound there and took out Resilient first, and then Wookiee Monster, obviously the last to fall, as Resilient is going to get engaged on once again here, forced to use the Killer Instinct defensively. And now we'll have to see how well Clown Gaming can withstand this Baron push.
Yeah, I'm not sure how well they're going to be able to. Between Way and Morgana, being able to poke out your team, now completing also the Leandries, as well as the Blackfire Torch. Also knocking on the Death Cap, I believe, for the Morgana, it looks like.
Ooh, yeah.
You're going to be able to chunky out here before the team even starts if you end up going in lane. And just taking a, even an ability or two from each one can put you in a very dangerous position here. So we'll see what they have for the answer of defense as Corki is pushed up, Volibear chasing down there, but an entire squad.
Yeah, that's going to be the flash per minute. They get on top of the Way. Naysayer in trouble, tries to flash away, tries to stay alive, but Wookiee Monster is going to be able to claim that kill. Zenith Blade sidestepped by the Corki. Rudy trying to buy time for the rest of the team to join in. Wookiee Monster valks forward just to try to get one more kill, but not able to do so. Takes a big old super rocket to the face. Double kill for Dilly. and 4v3 on the map. We do see Clown Gaming pushing up in mid lane, at least looking to get this tier 1 for themselves. That is going to be an objective bounty as well. But the members of Elysium pushing in the bot lane here. Clown Gaming, you can't win this race against the Baroned up minions. It's going to be Elysium pushing on towards this bot lane inhibitor turret. And will Clown Gaming be back in time to defend? It's CZI stopping the backs right now.
Yeah, Dilly 506 IE complete, as well as Collector. That is going to be shredding the towers. As we saw, as Jinx gets excited and just the attack speed and moves being go through the window here. Way giving up the life for the trade, but I think that was a worth trade as you knock down towers, you establish some pressure. Yes, you lost mid lane, but I don't think it was as devastating as it could have been here. Just over 2 minutes now for the
Oh, Solar Flare onto Sansorino. The Aatrox tries to dash away. It's going to be okay for now. Oh, but the Kai'Sa steps on the Flame Chompers. So Mega Death Rocket is going to go wide. Resilient able to back away. Close call there in the mid lane. We got to be careful. That Dark Binding will also miss. Way skill shot going wide as well. Hero Joe has the Black Shield to deny this engage. You can't get on top of the Morgana that easily. Dark Binding onto the Volibear, the Grasping Ball, the Spiraling Despair, true to its name, as now we do see Sansorino trying to be the hero, trying to get into that backline with a World Ender, Resilient with the Killer Instinct forward, but it just isn't strong enough to get it done. Yet another double kill. Make it a triple. Make it a quadra. Make it a pentakill for the Jinx. 2 games in a row. These teams going blow for blow with the back-to-back pentas. And we go to the deciding game 3.
Yeah, this is going to be a rundown. What a game-ending push there. Pentakill for pentakill. Going back and forth. Mundo not caring about the towers in front of him here, and with Jinx fully loaded, they're going to be knocking this down. I can't wait. My pizza will have to wait for the ending. It doesn't matter. Game 3.
Unbelievable performances from both of these teams. This second game, honestly, if you just look at the scoreboard, it looks a lot more one-sided than it was, I think. Clown Gaming, they're only able to get 9 kills in this game. They had a hard time really taking control over the map. But they stayed scrappy, right? Like we were talking about, right? And they really found, some good angles despite the fact that they were behind, oftentimes in terms of those map movements. Naysayer was calling for the pentakill in the client chat before we got into that second game. It ended up being Dilly who picks it up. 10-0 and 6 this game on the Jinx. Just really impressive from Elysium, able to bounce back here in game 2. And yeah, like you said, couldn't have said it better myself. Just can't wait for game number 3.
Yeah, back and forth, blow for blow. I don't think there's no stopping. They can pick laking, scaling champs all they want, but we're going to see that action early, and we're going to see it often as across the board we did, as you mentioned, to bounce back on what you said, there were scraps everywhere, starting from, bot lane, the top lane, mid, everyone just had action here, and that Morgana played a very key piece that we had questionable thoughts about, but I'm so happy to see it come forward, and that's just something else in later games teams are really going to have to look at and kind of figure out what is our answer to that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the Morgana definitely caught both of us off guard, but it ended up working out really, really well for Hero Joe in this one. Did top out those damage charts at 21.5k on the Morgana, comfortably more than his pentakilling AD carry. So I think it is between those two probably for the POG honors in this one. What are you thinking, Katano?
I think I'm gonna have to go with the Jinx here on this one. Just a great job of play safe throughout the entirety, making sure their position is correct. Super Mega Death Rockets. I'm not gonna say what the percentages were on that, but grabbing the pentakill, leading the team there, I think that was a great all-around of position, play, and being smart here in the early game that really set them up for that mid game.
Yeah, I think that goose egg in the deaths column for Dilly is really what does it for me, as it's such an important thing on a champion like Jinx, right? On a hyper carry like Jinx, is the positioning is so key. Knowing when is your moment to step up, get that first kill, get that passive going, and just to clean up the team fight. Dilly was able to do that beautifully in this one. Honorable mention to Naysayer as well, though. Had that kind of a rougher look in game number 1. Not to say that he didn't have a good game. Obviously the Nexus in game 1 was also extremely powerful, but just the coordination wasn't quite there with the rest of the team. The lane phase was a little bit difficult, and coming in here right in the early minutes of this one with the back-to-back solo kills really felt like it delayed Wookiee Monster enough where the rest of the team for the side of Elysium was really able to get the ball rolling and get their victory here in game number 2. Any final thoughts, Gitana, before we go to break?
I'd say dilly dilly. That will be our final words of wisdom here before we throw it over to
Perfect.
break. Don't go anywhere. More action. Game 3 coming up.
You know it. Okay, everybody, welcome back to the desk here as we prepare for our third and final game of the night, our first game 3 of the season, Gitano, and what a match to have it in.
Yeah, back and forth. Both teams just giving it their all, and I can't wait to see what happens here in game 3. The picks, fresh faces, no repeat of the Morgana, unfortunately. So, any predictions? What do you think we're going to see?
Oh man.
No pressure.
Let's see. What's still available? Do we have our nifty little thing where all of the previously picked champions are? So I see the champions from game 1 here. Okay. Here we go. There's our game 1. Oh, beautiful. Oh, we get the slow reveal
Amazing.
too. Oh, that's nice. That's nice. Okay. So yeah, it's hard to keep track, right? I'm sure it is maybe a little bit difficult for the players as well, even to try and remember, what is and isn't still available to be picked. Let's see. Was there anything that snuck through like the first couple of band phases that hasn't been picked still? So we've had a lot of Poppy and Skarner bands and Camille. Those have been the 3 bands from Clown Gaming. And then Elysium have banned away the Lilia, the Brand, and the Maokai. And those 6 bands have been consistent across the first 2 games. So looking for Lilia and Poppy to get removed here. And yeah, so that's been the same this whole match. And I don't even know, man. I mean, I'm expecting probably another 80 carry for Wookiee in the mid lane. I mean, there's other picks that he could look towards, but it seems like that's what Clown Gaming have kind of identified as maybe the recipe for success for their team. So I don't know. I mean, what AD carries are still left? We've got like Zeri, right, is still kind of floating around there.
Varus maybe even. If you're
Yeah,
feeling
yeah.
gutsy, you could
Varus
go
could.
Jace.
Oh,
Jace is a great
okay.
kind of, well, not an 80 carry, but provides enough with it here. As
Yeah.
MF being picked up.
That is going to be the B1 option. Very interesting. Is a strong laner, right? But it can be difficult to execute on the Misfortune in the team fights. Those team fights, they've been very contentious between these 2 teams. Maybe the bullet time is the tool that Elysium needs to finally turn the series in their favor, as the Sejuani getting denied there would be obviously a great pairing with the Misfortune. So Clown Gaming going to be able to pick that one away. Maokai obviously has been removed. And the Ashe. There is that. Oh, do the Ashe. The Freljordian synergy.
Okay,
they're going for the Jhin instead.
Unfortunate.
That's fine. It's fine.
If it doesn't work out for him, we know what to blame. When you start the Freljord, you do not stop the snowball effect. You just let it run
all
the way
snowball.
through.
I like what you did there, Gitano. That was very nice.
Thank you. I had to do something to follow up the clown-looking joke that I made earlier that missed 100%. It was off the map completely.
Totally fine. But yeah, I think the Jhin does make a good amount of sense into the Misfortune, right? The Misfortune is a little bit of a lane bully. Jhin can kind of play that lane a little bit farther back and can farm things out relatively safely. Karthus, Gitano. That feels, I guess, pretty good into the Sejuani. You're going to be able to clear much faster, right? And I mean, it's something that we don't see too often these days. But when you're in game 3 of a fearless draft, sometimes I guess you got to bust out the Karthus.
You gotta pick it, especially towards that mid to late game. Once you get those items, and especially with the items as well that have come up with the Black Torch, the Leanderies, you can get a death cap in there. Once you hit that go button, basically, it doesn't matter if the team fight has started; it's already gone. Half your life has already been wiped out, and you're looking for answers here. You put a bullet time across that afterwards, and you're gonna shred whatever life they had remaining here. I do like the Jhin pickup. There's so much range, so much utility as well. Being able to set up your team fight, one ability, something hits, you grab the pick off on that, and the Verkan as well to keep them safe. Able to engage or disengage, having both of those options with that Alistair pick for the counter.
Definitely, yeah. We've got a lot of setup so far for Clown Gaming with this first rotation of picks, but they need more damage. Jhin can't be that consistent carry, and obviously they're not getting a lot of damage from the jungle rule either with the Sejuani coming through here. So it's going to be, the solo lanes for Clown Gaming are going to have to do most of that heavy lifting, and I think with that in mind, the Yone ban here makes a lot of sense. It doesn't necessarily feel like a Wookiee kind of champion, but I think it would definitely work well with this composition. Ornn makes me a little bit nervous, Gitano. I don't think that's the damage that they need, but it's tough, right? Because, I mean, you're going to have to blind pick one of these lanes.
Yeah, something's going to have to give, and the Ornn's not a bad pick. Yes, you're lacking the damage portion, but you are gaining a giant front line, a great engage tool, plus the passive, that Forge to really up the damage, or whatever items your teammates have built, especially with the Jhin, adding a little bit more damage to his repertoire. So we're hoping to see that high damage mid lane to also help out the Jhin here, as you stated earlier, and Gnar.
Absolutely right. Yeah, the Gnar counter pick for CZI into the Ornn. to be a very comfortable lane for the Gnar, and I think the team fighting power of the Mega Gnar is a great pairing alongside the bullet time as well, right? So do like that pick for Elysium. Let's see what they're going to want to round things out with their blind pick on the blue side. Going to be towards that mid lane for Naysayer. Naysayer we saw in the Nasus game 1, the Way game 2. Still yet to have, I mean, did have those 2 solo kills. Oh, Aurora. Okay. And Wookiee does still have some things that he can go towards. The Lysandra, I think, is probably not going to be it. I mean, does have that Freljordian synergy with the Sejuani, but where is your damage, Clown Gaming? You have no damage with this composition. If we go for the Lysandra here, feels very risky. I mean, you're going to have to play like exclusively for picks, it feels like. The Victor I like a lot more. And this is something that Wookiee Monster is known for. It's something I've seen him play many times to great success. So hopefully that will be enough. Because, I mean, this is potentially, you know, a really strong team fighting composition now for Clown Gaming with the Victor locked in, right? You have an incredible amount of frontline. You have good engage. And now you have the damage over the top with the Victor as well. But I feel like for Elysium, you know, their job is very straightforward with this composition. You get on top of the Victor, you have your misfortune, press R, and you know, take your flowers. You take home the victory. So I think that's mostly what this game is going to come down to. Is Clown Gaming going to be able to keep Wookiee safe to do the damage that needs to be done to win out in these 5v5s around the objectives?
Yeah, there's also a little bit of a timing issue with the Gnar, MF, and you know, the team comp synergizing around that, because you know, Gnar could potentially shove over everyone if the MF is not exactly in line. Plus, the Mega Gnar bar is something you have to deal with. But if all those pieces do come together, it is a very heavy wombo combo that won't leave many people standing after, you know, 4 seconds of layered CC over shredding on that. I do like the Victor pickup, as you mentioned before. Great. You know, use of the core, building that up, and then gravity field, just shoving that down. And it's going to be very difficult to get past that as well, you know, after that 2 or 3 item spike that he has. So, predictions. Let's hear you first. If I pick, I know it's going to happen. I'm pre-jumping it to make sure you
yeah, well played, Katano. Fair play there. Yeah, I mean, I feel like Elysium has the better draft, almost hands down here in this one. I feel like, you know, while we don't often think of Misfortune team fighting compositions as being easy to execute, it does require a lot of coordination, right? Like you were just talking about, where there can also be anti-synergy if we Gnar at like the wrong time, and then the bullet time like ends up hitting people that aren't there anymore. Like that can be a little bit awkward, but I mean, you also have the Aurora ultimate, right, to keep everybody in place. So they have, and the Alistar engage as well. So they have multiple tools to work with here on the side of Elysium in terms of their own engage. And I think the Karthus is kind of the cherry on top. That's something else that you mentioned, you know, back in the earlier stages of this draft where, you know, the Misfortune ultimate, anybody that it doesn't finish off, you know, Karthus R doesn't need any setup, right? He just has to press R and it doesn't matter. Anybody who's low is just going to be hit in the dirt. So I feel like their composition for Elysium is extremely threatening. Clown Gaming, it feels like they kind of ended up putting themselves in the corner. It feels like they maybe picked the Jhin for the lane matchup against the Misfortune, but then they ended up having to like blind pick top lane, so they couldn't pick a carry there, and they ended up with this really awkward draft where they have like all of this setup and very little follow-up. So it's going to be an interesting one. You know, if Clown Gaming can kind of channel what they had in game number 1, right, where it felt like they kind of withstood a lot of the pressure that was being put on them by Elysium and just eventually got to a point in the late game where their carries were strong enough to carry through these fights. That looked really good for them. So if they can find that magic again, if they can, you know, perform that trick for us one more time here in game 3, I think it could look good. But I feel like Elysium is favored with this draft.
I'm just gonna nod and make sure you don't ask what I'm thinking. So, what champion do you like best out of the draft here? Because if you ask me what team I'm picking, you're basically asking me which team do I want to condemn to lose, because no matter who I pick,
all right,
it's
Is that just what we're gonna do the whole season then? Are you just gonna? I don't know. I mean, I kind of want to see how long you can go without getting a correct prediction. Yeah.
All right,
like
we'll do that. let's get it out of the way right away before we even see the team comps. Just say, hey, Gitano, which one are you looking at? Just solely
Who are you
based
cursing this game,
off
Gitano?
of instinct. And
Right.
unfortunately, I'm gonna curse the clowns. Unfortunately, I'm
Hmm.
gonna predict them to win. And who knows? Maybe it'll be a
Interesting.
very
Okay.
happy upset that my pick goes through and they win, and I can finally get off this horrible casting
Yeah.
curse of mine. So I apologize to everyone in clown gaming, because if this doesn't go right, well, that's a for sure sign of what's happening then.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you are. I do believe 0 for 4 so far. You know, across these first 2
We
weeks.
don't need
So,
those stats. That should be a stat in itself.
we're gonna
Beyond
have a
like the
little tracker.
teams.
Can we get a tracker,
Yes.
please, in the corner
Can,
of the
can we get a
stream?
Gitano
Uh,
tracker that's so informed?
days until Gitano got a prediction correct. Let's see. But in the meantime, while the production cooks that up for us, I do think that this is going to be an incredibly exciting game number 3. You know, draft conversations aside, these teams have really been going at it. And, you know, everybody kind of was counting Clown Gaming out, you know, before we even started the games tonight.
And now
But
I
they've
finalized
really
it.
shown us that they've really shown us that they're able to compete here with what a lot of people were predicting to be one of the top dogs. You know,
There
maybe
we
not
go.
even just in the Valurian division. Thank you, all. That's perfect. Right under his webcam as well. That's beautiful.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna go ahead and break this little baby open here quick and
I mean, now's the time. It's game 3. We're about to get funky with it, everybody. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with the decider. All right, everybody, welcome back. The Freljordian division is nice and cold, but this match between these two teams is burning hot. Into game 3 we go. Clown Gaming back on the red side, looking for a massive upset versus Elysium on ice. And Rudy gonna have to burn the flash at level 1. Deadly Flourish connects, but they're not able to chase that deep into the enemy jungle. Early advantage for the Clowns.
Yeah, Dilly here stepping up, does end up grabbing that 4-shot. I thought the Alistair was cow meat at that point. It was a raw hamburger beef.
I think we call that beef.
Percentage. Yeah. You know, words are escaping me. I had half a bottle of something already during the break because that's how my predictions are going. We decided I'm going to put down 2 bowls of food for my cat to choose from for the victors, you know, to see who the prediction is. And I think that's going to be a better percentage than I. So at the end of the season, we'll have what my cat picks versus me. And the crazy part is we actually named our cats after League of Legends characters. We have Jinx and Leo.
Perfect.
And they go directly with the actual, like, you know, thinking of them, because our cat Jinx is just a menace. Like, she just wreaks chaos everywhere she goes.
Yeah. So are we going to get predictions from both cats then? We have like a 3-way race?
I think so. And I know who's going to take third. It's not going to be a surprise. It's the race to the bottom is me already. Okay, they're going for pride. Me, I'm just there, just the dog in hell with, you know, fire and coffee in his mug going. Everything is fine.
No Infernal Nasus in this game, Katano, and I would like us to try as much as possible to stay focused, because in the early minutes of that previous game, we did miss the lead up to a couple of those early kills. I want to see if we can be a little bit more on top of that this time around. Our junglers are starting on opposite sides of the map. Once again, we have Squigs clearing down towards the Jhin Rakan lane, and we do have Hero Joe on the Karthus, probably just looking to full clear, but is going to be pathing up towards CZI's Gnar.
But why pay attention? We already know the outcome of the game. I have predicted, and what I say goes. I'm a prophecy for the loss.
That's fair. But it's about the journey, Gaetano, not the destination, right? We have to find out how that does come to pass.
Fine. I will watch the game, finding out how this happens. Good headbutt pulverized there by Alistair.
Yeah, was a nice headbutt pull from Rudy. But not too consequential this early on. As, you know, we talked a decent amount about the Jhin pick in the draft phase. I personally am not super excited about it, as there's another headbutt. Pulverize going to connect, and Resilient is burning down the Ignite, committed as well. Deadly Flourish not quite going to find the mark, and you know, the Jhin, reason you pick it, I think, is so you can farm safely in this lane, but that hasn't really been working out for him so far, Gaetano.
Yeah, not quite what they want here. I do see that he does have the Dark Harvest as well, so hoping for some early stacks into that to feed into the late game, and maybe make up a little bit of that gap close of the team not having that damage. Meanwhile, topside,
here comes Hero Joe. Sansorino trying to get that brittle auto off, not quite able to do so. The Searing Charge to try to get back towards the turret. Is the flash committed as well? One more Skittle is not going to land for Hero Joe, and Sansorino forced to commit the flash, but will be able to escape alive. Meanwhile, we also saw Squigs and Wookie hovering towards this bottom side to see if they could get a punish on Dilly and Rudy. Have been playing this lane out so aggressively so far. That has not come to pass just yet. So just a full clear in the end for both junglers. They go for their resets, and we continue with the early game.
Yeah, with that double of 2 of MF, you know, being on the wrong side of the minion, unfortunately, is costing a lot of health, as well as Victor is trying to stack, get that first Hextech core upgrade here for him to make the laning phase go a little bit smoother and the clear a little bit better. Do you believe at this point in time that people have, conformed now to the new mid laner, or do you think she's still a mystery for some of them?
I mean, she has been out for a while, and I definitely have faith in Wookiee that he will have done his due diligence, right, and understands how the champion works, as CZI is about to turn mini, and Squigs is here. The hop to try to get back towards safety. The permafrost comes through. The flash committed for CZI, but one more auto attack from the foil, and it's going to be Squigs. The jungler for Clown Gaming picks up the first blood.
Being proactive throughout this entire series and paying off there for first blood here. Even with the ward, getting that Ornn a little bit of breathing space here as he goes back. Already has the item because of the Forge passive here, but we'll see if he does end up pick up anything before he heads out.
Yeah, and that was a really tough situation for Sanserino as well, as Gnar had the Wade fully crash, and the Ornn was going to be in a difficult position as, that is a beautiful flash from Resilient to get away from the Alistar combo. Nicely done by the Jhin.
That was some perfect timing there, and definitely could have spelled for disaster for them if that was not perfectly chose out, because that is a back for Jhin. MF gets a more of a sizable lead here, pushing in. Victor roaming down, though. We'll see if they end up spying him out, but it looks like he's headed back towards that mid lane.
Yeah, Wookiee has really been trying to make these roams happen towards this bot lane, but the windows just aren't quite presenting themselves. Has to go back to mid here, pick up that minion wave. Meanwhile, Hero Joe, as we can see, towards this North River, able to secure that first cohort of grubs. And we are once again, Gitano going to see the neutral trade, as the first dragon of the game will go over to Clown Gaming.
A Mount Dragon being taken up here around the 6:30 mark, so... And the way the games have progressed, they've been taking the dragons about a minute or two, off a spawn, depending on, what fights produce beforehand here. But definitely heavily contested, and we see that swing, grubs for dragon. I think it would be every time these two teams face, we'd see that.
We've seen what?
The grubs for dragon.
Oh, yeah.
Taken. I think that's not just this series, but I feel like it's going to be throughout the season, when we see these two teams again, and that could be a pattern throughout the season as well.
Yeah, it's something that we did see last week also, right? It's just very common because, the spawn time on those objectives is only a minute apart, so you really have to have quite a lot of control to be able to take both. And, these teams are both coordinated enough to where they're not really just going to let that happen easily, so... Both squads, like you said, been able to trade those off very consistently so far for all of tonight, including here in this final game. As we do see Sejuani going for a counter jungle right now, and Hero Joe is going to find Squigs on the red buff, as going to be the Wall of Pain comes down, and Squigs is absolutely going to be feeling that pain, as he does manage to arctically retreat over the wall. But unsuccessful counter jungle there for the Sejuani. But at least she's not too far behind, right? Only a couple of camps behind the Karthus right now. Not too bad, although that is growing right now as I mention it.
Yeah, not too crazy, but you also just want to, stick your hand in the cookie jar and see if you get something sweet. Unfortunately, getting slapped away at this time is those Skittles hurt pretty bad already here. No items complete, but enough to do the damage here, as we see... Sejuani grabbing up two Negatron cloaks here, just in case she ends up running into that once again here. And Victor stacking up, has 83 stacks already here. Going to be hitting that first upgrade shortly within the next wave or two.
Yeah. No, Wookiee Monster, as we mentioned in the draft as well, is going to be a critical part of this competition. Chaos Storm comes out, looking to really put the pressure on for Naysayer here. Aurora, no teleport, so this could be a little bit difficult for the Elysium mid laner. But Wookiee Monster still some work to do on this wave and is running a little bit low on mana. So has to be a bit careful. Is, as you can see, worried about the potential gank from the Karthus. His own jungler not necessarily in the area at this exact moment. So Naysayer going to be able to step up, clear out the rest of that wave, gets the shove out, and can now go for the reset. Meanwhile, play towards the bottom side. Rudy just going to get rid of the Rakan. bumps him back over the wall with a headbutt. Cloudy finding a little bit of a knock up there. Commits the quickness, actually, as well. Sejuani is not here yet, though. Maybe Cloudberry going just a little bit too early there, but in comes Squigs now. That is going to be a nice pulverize into the flash away and the sidestep for Rudy. The aftershock damage on the ultimate for the Sejuani, not quite enough to take down the Alistar, but now the curtain has been called for Resilient. 1, 2, 3. That's going to be 4 shots connecting for the Jhin, but still not enough to take down the Misfortune, who does very intelligently clear out that minion wave with the bullet time.
Yeah, they're still looking here, and unfortunately, just a little ways away from the MF. Meanwhile, Aurora coming down here for the Jhin.
Resilient does
No
not
mana.
quite have flash just yet.
Flash.
It's still on cooldown, and he cannot get away from the Aurora ultimate there. That is going to be the Between Worlds. We'll see. I had to look up the ability name there. I don't quite know Aurora's ability names yet. I have not done my research. Apologies.
It's fine. As long as I'm here, you're here. That's your buffer mark.
Well, Euro Joe is also here being the topside river where the Void Grubs are. And he's getting engaged on by Squigs, surviving for quite a while, but will eventually drop to Sejuani, and now Squigs is going to flash away to try to survive, and the Requiem is, was it interrupted? It's on cooldown right now for the Karthus, but yes. Sancerino is going to get taken down by CZI, and Wookiee Monster has nobody left to peel. Squigs gets back over the wall, desperately trying to take down Dilly, but it's not quite enough. It's going to be a double over to the Elysium ADC, and now it's just Cloudberry left here, has nowhere to go. CZI going to clean up that kill as well. I guess Resilient was also there, but the Jhin could not really contribute much of anything. And it's absolute disaster for the Clowns here in the topside river. They wanted to try to punish Hero Joe and prevent those 6 grubs from going over, but they lost 4 men in the attempt.
Yeah, it's kind of the ants go marching in one by one after that look here. Jhin also roaming up after the play. I think that's something where you just gotta say enough is enough. Let's head towards the bot lane again, but Aurora already down there. It looks like a little bit of an early switch here. MF going towards the mid. We'll see if they end up staying on that route or if they end up rotating towards that. Also, Cloud Drag just spawning here. We'll see how quickly that is taken.
Yeah, I mean, that is at least something back for the Clowns if they do manage to pick up this dragon. It's taking a quick look at the gold there. That was it's going to be most gold in the game for Karthus right now. Misfortune, actually. It's everybody on the side of Elysium has a little bit of a lead over their opposite number.
Yeah, Misfortune 2-0 and 1 now. 150 bounty gold. And is up comfortably 1,000 as well to her lane opponent of Jhin.
Yeah, at least that dragon has been secured, so that is going to be another trade of the neutrals between these two squads. Clown Gaming up to 2 now in terms of that dragon count. Ocean Soul, though, I think probably not really what they were hoping for. I mean, yeah, there's a lot of value there for your front line, but I think they really would have liked to see an Infernal or a Hextech Soul to augment their damage a little bit. Would I think have done a lot more for them in this situation.
Yeah, I agree. I think you nailed that one perfectly. That's what they're hoping for, but unfortunately the League of Legends gods did not shower down on them that blessing this
well,
time.
It's really, I think it's your fault, Katana, right? Didn't we establish that? Because you predicted them, they got Ocean Soul.
You know what? I'll do the meme of he's out of line, but he's right, you know, type of deal.
Sorry, I didn't mean to do that.
You're not wrong by any means, and I feel I have learned why I've returned this season. They thought, hey, this is our scapegoat since season. You know, he came in last season, so let's continue this one as we go on. I'll be the first one to admit the good jokes and laugh at myself, because if you can't laugh at yourself, it's going to be a very, very sad day. Which,
I mean,
the way my predictions are going, it's already there, so why not?
I mean, I think Elysium on Ice are probably pretty stoked about the whole situation. You know, they're not really feeling too sad right now, I don't think.
Correct.
So they do have that 3,000 gold lead for themselves, looking to keep the pressure on.
And I also want to point out, I saw this in chat as I looked over the start of the Triforce. Is that something you usually see on Gnar? I have not played him in a very long time.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's definitely a reasonable option for CZI. I think it has a lot of value when you're playing against a lot of frontline and you're able to auto-attack a lot, right? So you're going to get a lot of value there, you know, from the Spellblade procs as you toss out the Boomerang. And You know, just the raw DPS can be beneficial into champions like Ornn and Sejuani. I think the Trinity Force is a totally fine choice. You know, it does mean that they mostly just have the Alistar to tank up on the front line, but, you know, Alistar is pretty good at that, so, yeah, I think it's fine.
Not that I'm, you know, shitting on or anything like that. I was just curious because my rush was always the Black Cleaver on him here, especially when you have, you know, the armor coming down.
Yeah.
So it was more of
I
an
think that would've been
inquiry,
good,
not
too.
that I'm saying it's the wrong choice by any means.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, maybe we'll see CZI go towards that Black Cleaver second. I think that would be that'd be pretty good itemization there for the Gnar. You know, you're obviously gonna get a lot of value from that as well. But you know, we do see these tanks on the side of Clown Gaming are starting to get a little bit beefy. You know, we have the first completed items for both the Ornn and the Sejuani. You see Squigs going for that little bit more of that supportive option and the Zeke's Convergence. You know, they changed that item a little while ago to where, you know, it used to be you get the storm around you when you cast your ultimate. It's around like both you and your ally. But now it's just you, where you cast the ultimate and you get the AoE storm. As that's gonna be the flash forward. Naysayer finds the Between Worlds. Wookiee Monster is in so much trouble here. Nobody is coming to his rescue. Oh, Wookiee. That was not the flash you wanted to go for. That just adds a little bit of insult to the injury there for Clown Gaming, unfortunately. And we are just 90 seconds away from our next Dragon, Gitano.
Yeah, Victor not being the burst champion there, and maybe expanding the flash just as a hope and a prayer that something comes in and helps. Unfortunately, the Karthus ult is on the wrong team to help you finish that out, just in case if you were...
Okay, a play in the mid lane is Dilly Cleanse, flash away, and nice moves there from the Elysium ADC. Comes back with a bullet time, almost enough to take down Squigs. Barely the Sejuani is going to be able to limp away from that one. At least they did get both summoners off of Dilly, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to really get themselves in a position to fight this next dragon.
Curtain call getting opened up there as I was watching Sejuani, and it was a close jungle take there. I was clenching there a little bit.
The fight against the Raptors.
I mean, it's one for the ages apparently, because I was on the edge of my seat here. But nonetheless, I'm gonna be on the edge of my seat again here. Dragon popping up 25 seconds away here.
I mean, this has to be a give, right? I don't see how the Clowns ever fight this one, really. As Wookiee Monster is going to get engaged on once again here by the Aurora and just pulverized straight down into the dirt. There's going to be without their mid laner. The Clowns just need to beat it. They need to make it towards the hills off in the distance there. And this is going to be the first dragon of the game for the side of Elysium on ice. Feels like their opponents are on ice is how it's starting to feel in this one.
Yeah, once again, they find the side lane, pushed up a little bit and isolated. We saw this towards the dragon in that first game. Not so much game 2, but that first game was a very hard point of theirs that really cost them quite a bit going into it here. So we'll see if they can make that correction here later on, as you hate to see, you know, Wookiee getting caught out.
Yeah, CZI is Mini-Gnar once again here. That's the Permafrost going to come through. Should set up for the R2 activation, but this is the problem, right? Glacial Prison can connect onto CZI underneath the turret, and barely. They do have enough damage to take out the Mini-Gnar. That is a much-needed little bit of gold for the Clowns. They are still down about 4K.
Yeah, still down here, but a little bit of a lead, 146 to 121 for the CS. Nothing super crazy here, but as we look overall, the Clowns are down around 4,000 gold here in total, especially in this early game. That takes a little bit more of a, you know, a decisive thinking rather than towards the mid and late, where 4,000 is really a toss-up and more, you know, not so much of a deficit here.
Yeah, teleport towards the bottom side here for CZI. Looking to pick off Wookiee Monster potentially once again. Wookiee just looking to get some damage onto this turret, trying desperately to get some gold. He desperately needs the gold. He needs to be the carry in this game, and I think the pressure, you can feel it's getting to him a little bit.
Yeah, you only want to split so much, especially with Victor.
The engage from Rudy in the mid lane. Resilient's going to flash away. The bullet time over the top is not going to be enough to take down the Rakan, who does manage to dash away towards safety. Requiem comes out. That's not going to be enough to finish the job. A decent attempt there by Elysium. They're not going to find their mark this time around.
Ooh, curtain call coming out here.
Yeah, just to clear the wave, but Aurora on the flank. Naysayer picks off the Rakan. This champion is just so sneaky. Just hopping into the invisibility there, and Cloudberry never saw her coming.
Yeah, unfortunately, Requiem taking him down low enough there, and it's doing a sizable amount of damage with
the Malignants as well being a factor afterwards. You know, you stand on that burning ground, and this is going to shred, and that's going to help your team as well for the Aurora kind of get through everything. But, you know, it's looking bad for the Clowns. I'm not giving up hope yet. There's still time and chance for me to, you know, get that 1-4 ranking. I don't want to leave 0-5 here today.
Yeah, there's a chance, but I think it is dwindling, you know, the hope here for the Clowns. The car is just getting smaller and smaller. I don't know if they can keep fitting in it for much longer.
They can. You can pack about 80, 90 Clowns in a car in like a Geo Metro.
Well, Santorino is just by himself. He's a very lonely Clown at the moment, and he is going to get taken down here. That kill is going to go over to CZI, number 3 for the Gnar. Although in the mid lane, we do see the Clowns able to get one back onto the Misfortune, but Aurora makes her presence felt once again. And Naysayer, the ult has timed out now, does have the flash to try to get towards safety, rejoin with the rest of the team. Squids finding a little bit there with the Winter's Wrath, but now Rudy potentially thinking about a re-engage. Gravity Well's going to stop the cow in his tracks. Pops the Indomitable Will, though. Oh, the combo not quite landing there onto the Rakan. Hero Joe still moving forward, trying to follow up on this one, but it looks like the disengage will be good for the Clowns.
Yeah, a little bit of back and forth there towards the end. 4-0 and 1 now for the Aurora as she picks up that next kill here.
Yeah.
Some vision being taken around the Baron. I don't think anyone's going to be seriously looking at it for right now, but the respectful factor of you got to do your due diligence and clear the vision while you can. Victor, on the other hand, 0, 3, and 0, finishing out the 2 items, the Leandries and the Black Torch. So really shredding tank-wise there, and as well as we look at the Hextech core, we are looking at one more for the final one at the 34 stack. So, you know, one good team fight away. Otherwise, it's going to be a couple of million waves before we see that final stack of the upgrade.
All right. Well, we'll see if he can get it before this next team fight breaks out. We got another Dragon in about 30 seconds. So currently, we do see Clown Gaming with control over the river. Rudy going to move in to do a little bit of face checking here. Alistar can do so relatively safely. There's a lot being committed here onto the Alistar, who is just refusing to go down. He will eventually fall. Bullet time was used there as well. In comes the Aurora into the thick of things, who is getting burst down. There's the shutdown for Wookiee Monster, his first kill of the game, and a 2-man advantage now for Clown Gaming. Hero Joe trying to move it on the side. Resilient has to dodge the Skittles. The flash forward for Dilly connects the double up, and that's going to be the kill onto the Jhin. 2 for 2 now in the team fight as the Clowns are forced to back away. Dilly is just too powerful. Gets the stuff from the Make It Rain. Wookiee Monster trying to step up to be the difference maker, but is going to be forced to flash over the wall into the Raptor pit. Dilly was just too powerful on this 2-item spike. Even though the fight looked a little bit rough at first for Elysium, they managed to come out on top in the end, and they will get their second Dragon.
Yeah, unfortunately, I'm blowing a little too much on the Alistar and not having anything, you know, in the tank afterwards here. They could potentially still look for a steal, but TP on the back end.
This at 20 has no flash getting in there. The steal is not going to come through. Called the Forge God is not going to be the difference, as there are so many low health bars, but not low enough. Wookiee Monster helpless in the face of the Mega Gnar, and now Santorino wasn't able to do enough to set up the team. The Deadly Flourish does get the root down onto Rudy there, as Cloudberry is kind of forced to go back in, but there's no damage behind the Rakan. Does manage to battle dance back out towards Resilient. That Deadly Flourish is not going to connect. It feels like the side of the Clowns are desperate to find something, but they hung around too long. They get trapped between the worlds as Naysayer cleans them up once again. 4 bodies on the floor in the aftermath there for Clown Gaming. And it feels like this game number 3 and your 0-5 streak, Gitano, are all but assured.
It's all fun and games until the clowns hit the floor. Then it's over.
They're
No
continuing
magic.
the push.
No, no last happenings. No what's up my sleeve. They are just down and out for the count. The fight already looked bad. You committed to it. The health bars are blinking, but that does not mean it's a go button here. Karthus, though, maybe overextending a little bit. They might be able to get something on the back end here.
Absolutely. Hero Joe going to get arctically assaulted and taken down, and that kill is going to go over to the victor. Another shutdown for Wookiee Monster. He is going to be accelerated towards that third item, a potential death cap on the horizon for the victor. But I just don't know if it's going to be enough. They're down 7,000 gold, Gitano.
It's quite sizable right now. Still, dragons are 2-2. You can still give up one and still be a good spot in the driver's seat.
And comes the Naysayer once again. Look at that burst damage. Goes golden as well to deny the return kill and just pops into the portal once again. Wookiee Monster with that little bit of movement speed. The victor's on the run. It looks like he will be able to get away. But another kill now going over to the side of Elysium. They avenge their jungler and maintain control over the map.
Yeah, right when the window opens, a door closes for them. Unfortunately, on the wrong end of things. But Gnar...
He's mega this time. CZI not going to be such an easy target. The permafrost does get stacked up. CZI trying to go for the Gnar to buy a little bit more time. They are able to take him down. The beefy boys for the side of Clown Gaming make it happen in the side lane once again. Sansorino and Squigs have been pairing up really nicely this whole game.
He said the BC Boys. All I wanted to say was no sleep to Nexus throughout the entirety of it. we can do that, right? That'll be one of our things for one of the games down the road. We'll just parody, no sleep to Brooklyn to no sleep to Nexus.
It checks out. It checks out.
I don't see why we can't do this. If a cat can predict better than me, we can do anything. We have the technology.
We do. I think that's very much available to us. As how do the side of Clown Gaming get themselves back in control here? They've managed to find a couple of these picks on the side lane onto CZI. Victor has got a couple of these shutdowns, but it still feels so dire, right? Like, is there a way for Clown Gaming from this position to wrest back control of the game? At least they have those two dragons. Maybe there's something there. They have been really good at trying to fight around these objectives and go for these cross-map trades even from behind. What do you think? Could you help us craft a game plan to try and salvage your prediction rate, Gitano? How do they come back in this one and give you that
go
first
back
win?
In time, find another caster, and make sure I do not predict the game. Other than that, I would say start to turtle. Stop the bleeding. They're going to start to be aggressive. Look for the side lanes. Look for your own. Grab wards on one side of the map. Try to find someone out, but don't try to overextend or bite off more than you can chew here. Gnar is pushing up a great deal. We saw Ornn and Sedge doing a great job of being able to pick apart that Gnar without any help. Give yourself a little bit of cushion, a little bit of breathing room, and then go at it. We keep on seeing these extended fights, and it is not going well for them. So that would be my game plan, is just give up a little bit, don't want to give up too much, but just turtle maybe inside the base a little bit more. Be a little proactive on your warding group. Wait for someone to split push, take them out, and give yourself that room. What about you? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, no, I think that makes sense. Wookiee Monster is close to level 16 now and just a couple hundred gold away from the death cap. So, they've bought him enough time to where he is that late game threat on the victor. The only problem is, Gitano, you can turtle, you can buy time. You could even give over Ocean Soul if you would like to. But at some point, you have to take a fight and win it. And that, I think, is the big issue for Clown Gaming in this game. I just don't know how they ever win an honest fight.
I think they gotta win the fight before it starts and really either pick off someone on the side, or be able to set up with the Jhin ability to really nail down, a carry, a Karthus, and kind of use utility that range where he can't escape, poke him out. But then that leaves you also the Requiem. Now at this stage of the point, especially with the Death Cap and Leandries, it's going to do half everyone's health. It's not a if, it is a win that happens here. As Baron is being started up, don't know how much information they have or if they can even step up and take
There's
it.
no vision at all highlighted by our observer here. It is down to about 50%. Finally, Cloudberry is going to be able to get in there to drop a ward, but Squigs is not going to be in time to get the steal. Smite is good from Hero Joe. The curtain call will do nothing. And now 5 men strong with the Baron. Naysayer going to go in, finds the Between Worlds onto Squigs, who does manage to flash out of the Aurora ultimate and stay alive. So at least the side of the Clowns do not lose any members, but they're up against Baron up Elysium now. This withstanding the siege is going to be very difficult. They have a little bit of wave clear with the Victor, but not really a whole lot.
Yeah, he can only clear so much before that mana bar is depleted. Yes, you're in the late portion of the game where you can spam quite a bit, but it's probably not going to be enough.
They've seen the Sejuani here, artistically retreating away. Squigs, though, in a lot of trouble. Does have Victor here. Wookiee rotation over, escorts the jungler out to safety.
Yeah, good root there, but unfortunately no one able to follow up here. As Sejuani thought she was being sneaky there, getting into the bush, but unfortunately it was the reverse Uno card spying him out, and now they are sieging the spot lane.
Yeah, CCI with the teleport. The Requiem just to soften up those health bars a little bit. Requiem, or Resilient rather, down as there's the bullet time over the top. They take down the Victor right at the start of the fight, and look at those health bars just getting melted on the side of Clown Gaming. Rudy will fall to the inhibitor turret, but I don't know if the Clowns have anything left in the tank. It's only Sansorino's Ornn and Cloudberry's Rakan left standing as the minion waves crash into the base. And it is going to be Elysium on ice. They pick up the 2-1 victory, and they go up 2-0 here in Season 12.
I go down to 0-5. Oh, 5. Yep, just the big goose egg. I wish I could say I expected different for myself, but realistically, it's the way it's gotta be.
It's okay, Gitano. You know, it's going to be, we really do have, I think, a great content idea there with the Cats predictions. That is something that I think we are going to be implementing for next week. But yeah, I do think that the Clowns, they overall had a pretty decent showing tonight, I think. Sansorino especially, I want to call out here for having a really solid series. Despite the loss, I felt like it was never top lane's fault, right? Sansorino was solid in the lane every game. He was trying to have an impact in those team fights every game. You know, this last one, maybe not quite as successful as he would have liked to have been. But, you know, I think more than anything, that just comes down to the fact that Elysium had such a stranglehold on this third game so early on.
Yeah, nothing to take away from him. I think he had a great showing to all 3 games. You know, just to sound back what you said, I didn't see any major holes. There was no point in time where I'm like, ugh, this looks pretty bad. They're gonna have to send 2 or 3 people up there to help him, as he definitely stood his ground throughout the entirety of it and had a great showing. Same thing with the Clowns too. Just a few minor points, a couple of decision makings. You know, could have definitely swung this to a 2-0. That, you know, game 2, it did look bad until it looked bad, and then the pentakill just sealing it in there. A great showing by both teams, but the Aurora pick too, I want to highlight that out. There's a need for a point-click CC for that champion. There's too much mobile invisibility and can really cause mayhem. And a great job by the team to carve this pick there, you know, softening it up. That Malignus doing so much work, as we saw as that final siege towards the bot side, capping everyone at half health, and then just the go button on top of that between Aurora, MF, kind of caging everyone in there. So great job by Elysium.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't even see how Wookiee Monster died in that last fight. I mean, it must have just been the Requiem combined with the bullet time that just took out the Victor before the fight even really broke out, and that was the end of it right there. But yeah, I think the Clowns overall, they can hold their heads high at the end of this one. You know, they were able to get that upset win in game number 1. They really showed us that they are capable of, you know, having these clean team fights. You know, we know that their map reads are generally pretty good. You know, they're really good at trading objectives and keeping themselves in games even when they're losing, right? That game 2, if you just look at the scoreboard, it looks so one-sided, right, in favor of Elysium, but that's not how it felt in the game. You know, Clown Gaming They really were able to hang in there for a long time until, as you mentioned, things kind of exploded literally in favor of Elysium. But, speaking of Elysium, big props to them, right? There were some questions, not everybody, was ranking them really that highly as some of us. I personally had a lot of faith in this roster, but, there were definitely some doubters out there. And maybe there still will be, after Elysium did drop that game number 1. But overall, games 2 and 3, I think, were quite clean. They really did, play things out very patiently, it felt like, and they waited for their moments. They weren't able to. It wasn't flashy, really. Those games 2 and 3, but they're pretty clinical in their dismantling of the clowns. Towards the back half of tonight's match, and I think they definitely deserve a lot of credit for that.
Yeah, I would say that their victories were like the boa constrictor effect of what I call it, is where they grab a hold of you, and it's just every time you take a breath in, they squeeze a little bit tighter until, unfortunately, where you don't have any air to breathe. So, as you stated, so, graciously, there was nothing flashy of them, but they definitely did the basics, and they did it right, and they just continued to play as a team and got the W for them here. So, any final thoughts before we drag it over to who you think the MVP of the game will be?
No, I think that it is that time, Gaetano. I think it is that time for us to decide, who our POG is here for game number 3. Game 2, obviously, we did end up giving. Who did we give it to in game 2 again?
I believe that was Dilly.
It was Dilly. Yeah, the
Dilly,
Jinx pentakill. That's right. And Dilly did have a great game here in game number 3 as well. I thought the bullet times were really, really impactful. Did end up getting out-damaged by Hero Joe on the Karthus in this one, just by a couple thousand there. But I think Dilly definitely has a decent case for himself once again here. But what are your thoughts in terms of this game 3, Pog?
Yeah, I would also say Dilly being a major factor in that. Also, Naysayer doing a great job consistency all the way through. We saw, a variety of Champool and definitely the highlights all throughout him as well. But it is a giant toss-up to me because both had their strengths. Definitely did what they needed to in that early game to set themselves up, and definitely made plays throughout the entirety of it. So I'm at a loss. I'm 0-3 today already for picks. I don't even know if I can, if I should be allowed to tie my shoe or make a pizza without burning down the house, because it might happen at this point in time.
Well, I think it's all right, really, Gaetano, because in this particular case, there's not really a wrong answer, right?
You say
no matter
that,
who
but
you go for.
I will find a way. I will find a way to make there a wrong choice of it. I'm gonna be super biased on this one. I'm gonna grab it to mid to Naysayer just because I'm a mid and I love mid. Dilly, you did amazing. The positioning, being able to play those champions as cleanly as you did, is not an easy thing. Especially with a penta as well. There's nothing to take away from that. But just me, I need one victory of the day, one victory throughout the entirety of it, and that's the victory I'm taking away, is naming Naysayer mid.
Yeah, that's honestly what I was thinking as well here, Gaetano. I do think, Dilly and Hero Joe both played their champions very well, and they both did a ton of damage. But in this game number 3, in the deciding game number 3, it was Naysayer who was the main setup, it felt like. In those crucial moments, it was the Aurora ultimates that really made it so that the clowns couldn't escape, right? So that they just ran out of options in the end. They couldn't do anything against the power of that Aurora. And Naysayer, it definitely felt like, to me, is the one who kind of put the finishing touches on this particular best of 3. So that's where I would look as well. Overall, banger match tonight. Really awesome that we saw the Clowns get that upset win in game number 1. We got 2 pentakills tonight, Gaetano. Absolutely amazing gameplay we were treated to this evening. You have any final thoughts before we wrap this one up?
I think I'm going to end this on a strong note. And end with a quote from Dodgeball. Remember,
Nice.
Take care of your balls, and they'll take care of you.
Beautiful. Couldn't have said it better myself, Gaetano. That is going to do it for us tonight. Remember, guys, we do have week 2 of the Platinum League. That is going to be tomorrow evening, exact same time, exact same place. Make sure you tune in for that one. From us here, from myself, Katano, from Alls, from the entire team at Blue Otter, thank you everybody very much for watching. We will see you next time for week number 3. Have a great night.